The fireball captured on a police body cam on the night of April 30th was real. The American Meteor Society says witnesses reported seeing it all across the West, from northeastern Utah to Southern California. Another Las Vegas resident sent us a video of the same object recorded on her home camera.
I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. But Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
So you're saying you may declassify?
No.
You'll take it?
Well, I'll have to think about that one.
So now people are posting online saying that police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall, shadowy aliens. Conspiracy theories are saying a big creature could be seen standing in front of the entrance.
Can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
Oh, that was for the boys. I didn't realize it was going to go. Good evening, folks. Welcome to Alien Addict on a fine and luxurious evening and a non-political show. Without further ado, let me bring on the reprobates and let's get on with this shing-ding. Lee, how you doing,
Oliver,
mate?
how you doing, buddy?
You're looking very hairy. That beard is coming on fine.
Yeah, although I'm at that point
Keep
now
it.
where I don't have a top lip anymore, so that's kind of irritating. But I'm a hairy man.
I think
I'm
it
a hairy
suits
man.
you. I think it suits you. Get rid of the top lip and just have the big tash.
Well, just the whole skin bit.
Yeah, it's a good job you started.
That's a bit weird because I will have to cut it off at one point.
David, how are you doing, Dave? How's the Cheetos?
I finished the Cheetos.
Good.
Finished Cheetos before I came on, trying to get over that naked porch dream.
Yeah, we're odd. It's odd that I had it as well. And he's back. It's been a month. Terrestrial. My lad, how you doing?
What's up, man? Good to see you. Dude, your beard is getting a little bit longer, huh?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Ollie's beard's definitely longer than I remember.
I'm so lazy when it comes to shaving. I hate it.
Me too.
I'm quite happy. I'm quite happy to have like one haircut and shave a year. I'm more than happy to live that life.
Yeah, I'm about that. I think it's like maximum 4 to 5 haircuts a year with me.
That's a lot.
That's a lot.
Yeah, but my hair's short.
It is small. Yeah.
Yeah. And we're gonna have Investigate Earth join us as well. They did think it was going to be 5 their time. But they're scrambling it together.
What happens when you let the retard book the guests?
Who booked the guests?
Me.
To be fair,
Making it clear. There's a lot of choices here. Let's not just put that off and let the crowd decide.
between me and Lee, you know, it's like when it comes to Dave, you need to get involved more because we are just terrible at it. Like we spell everything wrong.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah.
That had to be on purpose, right? The thumbnail.
The stress is driven Ollie to sobriety.
Yeah, I've stopped drinking. I've had to stop drinking.
Dude, after I seen the thumbnail change and it was still spelled wrong, I'm like, okay, something's up here. This has got to be, what are we doing?
Oh, fuck you! It's not, is it?
Yeah,
it is.
Is it?
And then you tried to blame me for it this afternoon.
No, you know what? You guys listen. At least all the Americans won't know. You just say, "Listen, this is how we spell it in the UK. You guys fucked it up. You made it wrong. This is how it's really spelled." We won't know. We honestly, it's not that we won't know; it's that we don't care.
I said to Ollie, so we should just double down on it and pretend it's a Mandela effect. Like, no, this is how it's spelled. It's how it's always been spelled.
Yeah, fucking look it up. Look it up in the dictionary. Exactly how it's spelled.
Just change the thumbnail mid-show. Just blow everybody's mind. No, go back and look. See.
So before we get into the beef curtains of all this,
That's
beef curtains is fine on YouTube, is it not?
Oh, I miss
We're gonna
coming
find
on here,
out.
man. Holy, dude.
You were saying before the show, Matt, about you've disappeared for a while, but you have stayed present on Twitter.
Yeah.
What do you make to what's been going on over this last month?
I mean, look, the UFO Twitter community continues to work out its internal struggles. It's battling over there. But at the same time, it's like, the war definitely wages on. But there hasn't been a whole lot of new UFO information that's come out, right? Like you've had like the Kirkpatrick photo that kind of shook all of Twitter and what was going on with him, showing that, he hasn't been as truthful as you might assume. Oh, but would you really assume he's truthful? I don't know. But then also Lou Elizondo's book got announced, the Imminent book, and that was kind of a big deal. But that's really it. It's kind of like when there's not a whole lot of UFO news, more and more the infighting picks up. But I don't know. In all honesty, I really don't think that it's just drama. I think that it is getting better. You see a lot of the people, I won't name names, but you see a lot of the trouble starters aren't really around as much. And it seems like things are starting to work out a little bit better. So that's good news. It's good. Yeah.
We won't name names, but about Lou.
I haven't even thought about Lou very much. I'm sure he hasn't thought about me very much either. So we're probably on the same page. Maybe not, Dave.
Just it's that like everyone's had like the intrusive thought just at the point of climax. That's what happens.
It's not an intrusive thought for him. Focus. It's all terrestrial material all the time, wanting to see the long strips of material.
Hey man, we're coming back, man. So he'll have some more content to go through. I'm sure he'll be happy with it.
What did you think to the Carl Nell thing?
It's interesting. I mean, he worked on, I think, the UAP task force alongside Grush for a little while. So, I mean, there's ties that are there. It's interesting, but to be very fully honest with you, man, it's just kind of another story right now until we, kick the doors down and get some more hard proof out. So I don't think it's anything to get too excited about, but it's interesting. Sure. Yeah. What do you guys think?
It's another guy that's come out that has hard ties with like intelligence.
Yep.
So how do you like it's the same thing. He might as well be Grush, who might as well be Fravor, or it's we've wanted some sort of official like government people to come forward for years. Like since the 90s, we wanted some sort of government like acknowledgement of UFOs, and now it's happened and we're like going, not sure I trust you.
Yeah, but I just wonder like the speed of it, right? I still think that it's moving a bit too slow to really get very excited about it. I think if a lot of these guys don't kind of start to put more of this evidence out and put this proof out at the very end of it all, I think you might be witnessing the beginning of the death of the request for disclosure from the government, man. That whole request is probably coming to an end soon.
Investigator, welcome.
How's it going? Thank you. How's it going, guys?
Hey, good.
Good to see you again.
Yeah.
Our camera is on so far. Our microphone is working. I sound like crap. Sorry about that, but I'm surviving.
It looks great.
The studio's looking good. You got your depth going on with the plant and that bright alien. I think that's an alien.
Yeah, it is. Yeah, you told us how to make it darker. We haven't done it yet.
I did.
How did you do the same trick as Dave's done?
Not yet.
Yeah, he just exposed his soul to it.
It does suck in all light.
Guys, we've just been having kind of a catch up with Terrestrial, who's he took a break for about a month from the whole UFO thing, and he's back. So we haven't really touched on any of tonight's show.
Cool.
And we've only been speaking for about 10 minutes anyway. Cool. So you've not missed anything.
No, well, Terrestrial, welcome back to what some may call hell, the UFO community.
but you know what? It burns so good sometimes, right?
Yeah, you're right. That is true.
Oh, dear me.
No, but it's nice to meet you guys. I know of your podcast, but I'm not sure I know your names. I'm Matt, or Terrestrial Material, the one you want to call me.
Chad and Sherry. So
okay, nice to meet you guys.
Yeah, you too.
Nice to meet you. Glad you're back.
We don't do intros to people on here. We're not like that.
We're terrible.
No.
We are terrible.
Don't worry, I got it. We're good.
So what were you guys talking about before we came in?
Well, besides that, he's back. So why did you leave the UFO community, out of curiosity, for a while?
I mean, to be very honest with you, I started my channel about, I don't know, maybe 9 months ago. And you know how it is when you start anything new, everything around your whole entire life kind of gets put to the side and you just go forward and that's it. So I finally got to the point where I felt like last month, May, that we just got off of, was probably going to be the slowest time for UFOs. So I said, you know, doctor's appointments, stuff with my wife. It's probably time to go ahead and take 4 weeks, get my house back in order, and then come on and push forward. I was going to do it in February, but everything that was going on with Congress, I just had way too much FOMO. I was like, I want to see what's going on. And when that kind of started to dip, I said, this looks like the best time to do it. So we're back.
For sure.
Yeah. I'm just like you. I just actually kind of quit this year from teaching, and I kind of let the house go. I've let everything go because we're so busy, because I'm working full time. We're doing podcasts. We're meeting people like you guys. And I'm like looking at the house like, oh my God, where do I even start?
Yeah.
So I'm trying to reorganize this week and try to get it like livable again.
Yeah.
Right. Yeah. That was the first thing I did, was I went on a massive cleaning spree, you know, and then I did break out the hockey gear, and I went and I played a little bit of hockey again too. So getting outside, or they say touch grass, but I'll touch ice too. That works.
Yeah.
Nice.
Touch some ice.
Yep.
So about the aliens.
Carl Nell. We were talking about Carl Nell. Chad, Cheryl, what'd you guys think about Nell coming out?
Now who? Now say that again.
Carl Nell at the SALT conference.
Yes, I heard about that. I'm not too up on exactly what the deal is with all that when he came out with the conference.
He was pretty recent.
He's a colonel. He backs up and says what he's really doing is throwing his credentials and weight behind a bunch of other quote unquote whistleblowers that all have ties to the intelligence community.
Yeah,
backs up Lou, backs up, Grush, backs up. He's like, hey, all these people are talking, they're serious. And then he says with 100% certainty, these things are happening and they're here. And he's just using that weight from his long and extensive career. And it's, he has extreme ties to the intelligence communities as well. It's a very weird thing for him to do.
I have seen that actually. But the big argument obviously is like Lou Elizondo and some of these other guys. Obviously, I think the big argument, it seems like the big kind of debate in the UFO community lately has been, are these guys trustworthy? Are they disinformation agents? What is y'all's thoughts on Lou Elizondo and those people, I guess you can say?
Ollie, you go first.
I've always been called a flip-flopper anyway, but I do flip-flop with Lou. Because I at the same time, I realize that guy is definitely doing his job.
Mm-hmm.
So is it a bad thing what he's doing?
Yeah.
Maybe for all we know, the mission that is being given, it will help spur this thing on. Maybe it's from the right people to get this done.
Mm-hmm.
It's just people don't like how he's going around it.
Yeah.
That pisses them off because it's filled with deceit and lies,
Mm-hmm.
But he could be Satan, he could genuinely be the little UFO devil for all I know. I don't know. I would like to think that guy is telling the truth. He's definitely doing his job. And he loves his country.
Yeah. And he kind of reminds me, I think the big argument for the UFO community, for Lou and some of these other guys, has been, if you guys have ever watched Mike Baker, that goes on Joe Rogan show, right?
Yeah.
And Mike Baker is a ex-CIA guy. And then you have this other guy, I can't remember the other guy's name, but the guy with the curls, longer curled hair. And he goes
everywhere else, hasn't he?
Sean Ryan, he's been on everybody. And it's like there's two different consensus with those two people. So the guy with the curly hair, they tend to believe that he's more genuine than Mike Baker, because they think that Mike Baker is kind of a plant that is sent into shows like Joe Rogan to, I don't know if you want to say, make the CIA kind of look better, especially when stuff's going on. He's always there. It seems like he's defending more than he's even trying to open up about the topic of how corrupt maybe the CIA is. And I think for some people, they just get that consensus. If you worked for the government like Lou Elizondo did, there's so many people who just don't trust the government at all anymore. So there's obviously people that say, well, if this guy worked for the government, why the hell do we trust him now? And especially if he was in such a high up program like that. And then also it's like, if he's going to come out and expose the UFO stuff, man, you would think that if this thing was such a big secret like they say it is, and they're really trying to hide UFOs, how would they even allow him to do this? And kind of, it's almost like he's just on this big campaign for UFO transparency. And that's the only thing to me that just kind of, I don't know, it makes me think or wonder.
Do you think it could be because he wants to show, the government and himself, they want to show little parts, a little bit this, just to get us ready for what they're about to expose us to? It's like, give us a little bit of this, a little bit of this, and a little bit of this.
Slow drip it.
Yeah. And put it in front of the people. So when it does come out, whatever is coming out, we're not like totally surprised, because they've been leaking out these little things like a government, you know what I'm saying?
Yeah. Like some kind of a little operation. It is interesting though.
I do think that it's his fault, pretty much, the backbiting that goes on now amongst the UFO creators, and it's kind of made a split. I don't actually think we belong on either of the sides of them, to be perfectly honest. Yeah. But especially like there's a couple of channels, one in particular which he was heavily involved with, and like I personally think he got like Benowitzed by that guy. I think he came in, he was on a show a bunch of times, he made him feel like he was part of the crew, dropped him, and now that person, you will have at least noticed him on Twitter, probably felt his wrath at some point. He referred to us as alt-right conspiracy theorists, which was nice. I took it as a compliment, to be fair.
Was it not a compliment?
But the thing is, I kind of think that's been Lou's job, or part of Lou's job all along, was to come in and sow this deceit and create this aggravation we see. So realistically, look at what goes on with Ashton. Like the amount of people that have wasted like hours of their lives, days of their lives, because they're upset with a guy that believes a UFO video they don't believe.
Yeah, and he believes the opposite, which is, to the point, Ashton's point is kind of, it's not that Ashton's trying to disprove UFOs. It's just to say in this particular instance that he believes it is, advanced U.S. military tech. So
reversed technology.
And wouldn't the government want to make you believe it's UFOs if it was advanced government military tech, though? You
think so? You'd think so.
Well, a lot of it's just kind of like, even whether or not you think the tech or even like the Tic Tacs or any of that is from the government, it's still the same question as like, who created the universe? There has to be somewhere where it came from. If it's our tech, how did we get it? I mean, so that's why I don't understand why people get so mad if you go from, oh, it's not alien or it has to be alien. It's like, either way, it's from somewhere else. I mean, if we had the stuff, if it wasn't, you'd see physicists all over the world shooting this stuff out by now. If they could have figured it out 60, 70 years ago, what are they waiting for now? Did we just happen to have the only 2 or 3 scientists that were smart enough to figure it out? I don't think so. I think there's a lot of capable physicists out there. I think if we have figured it out on our own, you'd see it a lot more other places right now.
Yeah.
I think the interesting thing to take away from what the colonel had said isn't so much what he said, it's that he said anything at all. That tells you that whatever he's going forward to do, he has another mission. Right? Like he's not off. These aren't his personal musings. This would be weird that whole thing when you watch that interview, he was set up to say that. It wasn't a spontaneous thing like, hey, I feel the need on my heart to put this out there. Questions led him up to it. Nobody interrupted him. This was scripted. It was supposed to happen.
The interesting thing with him as well is he wasn't scheduled to be there. His spot was scheduled to be David Grush.
Yeah.
And Grush had to, for some reason, had to back out of it. So for them just to implant somebody into that position that then pushes the narrative on in such a way that, that's it. It just shows that they, for want of better words, they needed another actor to fill that scene.
It's all about calculation. We were talking earlier about the curly-haired former CIA guy. Not that there is former CIA. Andrew Bustamante, which is not his real name. If you listen to some of the more candid interviews where people are actually able to pry things out of him, did you hear about when he was in the Air Force, in the Air Force Academy? He ratted out a bunch of the guys in his cadre in his class because they were drinking and they weren't supposed to be. So he immediately ponied up and went and turned everybody in, who got them all immediately kicked out.
Wow.
His roommate, his other alleged friends, that's who that guy is. He doesn't have friends. He doesn't give a shit about you because, like, this is what he's doing. He's operating, right? Like, there's a reason he got contacted and selected. It's a certain kind of person who's going to, you know what I mean? It's like that, no greater love hath a man that lays down his life for his brother. Well, what kind of piece of shit turns in his roommates and his friends? What absolute scumbag, atrocious, soulless beast does that?
Seriously.
Perfect for the CIA. Let's recruit that guy. And then let's by all means take everything he says to, no, man, forget that guy. He's soulless. That guy's soulless. All right. I heard someone explain something to me, or we were having a semi-profound conversation, and you know what? Never mind. I'm not even going to go there with it. But anyway, as far as the CIA people go, don't trust any of them. None of them are there to help you. They're all put out there. They're no different than international bankers. People are like, how can the government fight itself? How can these conglomerate banks fund both sides of a war and a conflict? Because it's in their best interest. Right?
Yeah, I trust the CIA fully, to be honest with you. I think they really are for us, to be honest with you. I don't know what you guys are talking about.
But I think a lot of times innocent individuals get caught up with CIA too, as well. You know, if people are abroad in different countries and they're already
Could be in Lee.
Yeah, seriously. And living different lives where they need people like you and Lee, they're going to infiltrate you and say, hey, you need to come on our team. And, you know, you're already established and no one's going to know. So, you know, you need to join CIA. I think they do that with a lot of people, to be honest. And it's just a lot of normal, everyday people like you and I.
Yeah. And, you know, Lee called me one night and I never even gave him my number. And I was wondering how he did that.
This is probably a good time to reiterate that for anyone listening. We are for sale. And
100%. 100%. Like all the people who came up with like watered cars and alternate technology and they all die. You know why? Because as genius as they were, they're all stupid. Because you know there was an offer beforehand. You know, I think that I forget the guy's name. I just listened to a podcast about it from the Y-Files, which I love. And he was talking about alternative energy and the people who have died. And this guy's in the 50s and he's able to take 1 gallon of gasoline and it goes 100 miles. Right. It's crazy. Yeah. Back then with like 8,000-pound cars. And he was offered $1 billion for it. No. You're going to die. If they have enough money to buy you with that, you say yes. Because the inevitable is coming. Right.
Unless you're Greer, and then you turn down $2 billion as well, right?
I trust that guy as far as skinny old Andrew Bustamante could pick my 280-pound ass up and throw me. Yeah.
Who is there to trust, man? Jeez.
But this
everybody
is an interesting point.
Me.
But this is an interesting point with what we're talking about, though, is that as far as like the whistleblowers that have come out about UFOs, like never in the history of whistleblowing have whistleblowers done as well as these people have.
True.
You know, whistleblowers like turn up in suitcases in various bits. They don't turn up at Congress.
Yeah, or Boeing. I mean, they usually come from Boeing, They don't live very long. I actually
No.
I saw Ian Carroll's post the other day about the Boeing spaceship they're making, right? And I said, you know, there's 10 more Boeing whistleblowers supposed to come forward, but they're recruiting astronauts for whoever is going to be on their capsule. And I was like, I almost guarantee you I know who those at least 10 first.
Whoopsie, we'll get it right next time.
Yeah. Oh man, damn, it blew up. I can't believe that.
Nobody saw that coming. No.
Yeah, I mean, when was the last time Snowden was invited to SALT? You know,
Exactly.
It's not really a thing. You know, yeah, it's weird. I agree with Danny Sheehan when he says, you know, look, the real whistleblowers are just going to come out and they're going to drop the information. That's going to be that. I mean, like it's controlled, like going and asking the government, hey, can I tell this stuff? I agree that's not really whistleblowing, you know, especially if you're able to go home at night. All these other people are either dead or can't go home. It's kind of hard to even put them in the same sentence. It's a little bit strange to me, but, you know, to each his own, I guess.
Mm-hmm.
Your real whistleblowers have probably been out. They've probably been out, like dropped a story on before it's news or something like that, and no one paid any attention to it because it's a wild, outlandish claim with nothing to back it up.
It's very hard to get a news story out when you have the Associated Press and Reuters that are owned by the same investment companies, which also have government ties to every major government in the world.
Yeah,
it's a little hard to get that reach out there.
I will tell you guys this: we are dealing with a situation which we will not give complete details as of yet because we're still working on that, but. We're dealing with a potential whistleblower situation, like a high up.
Okay. I was like, "What are you talking about?" Now I know.
No,
okay.
we're dealing with a
need to know basis.
Yeah.
Are we getting a semi little exclusive here?
No, you are. Except for there's only one other person that knows for good reason. They know, but yeah, it's kind of weird how it happened. He's was a very high up person in the military. He was I guess I can say this. He was a colonel in the military. Was in the military for a very long time. Was a fighter pilot for both F-15, F-22s. Now, I can say this: he works and is a consultant for NASA and also SpaceX.
Mm-hmm.
But it's interesting, kind of how we got reached out and how we're going through this process right now. I'm just trying to talk to him. Sherry knows his wife very well; has known her forever. And so, you know. All I'm saying is there may be some connections to a lot of crazy stuff that we've talked about here before that has been all over X. We don't know that yet, but just stay tuned for that because we're going to see how that plays out. We still are awaiting a conversation with him himself. We've talked to his wife, but there's just a lot of weird stuff going on with that.
And his wife happens to be one of my best friends growing up from, I think, middle school on. And, you know, Kim's a lot like me.
You dropped her name already.
Well,
you're screwed. Sorry, well, you
Kim,
screwed her.
But she's kind of like me, just crazy.
Now they're dead.
She's kind of crazy and out there. But what's been going on with them?
Kardashian or
exactly who it is.
But it's a really crazy story, and I really feel for them.
And this guy's name's Kanye, by the way. We're talking about.
Sounds credible. Sounds credible. I love his shoes.
It says he was a pilot and in the military. So,
oh dear.
So well, I hope that all works out for you in the best of ways, man.
Well, I hope it works out for them too, because I think a lot of things are happening to him
because of
things maybe he knows that he shouldn't know, or things that he butted up to the military against and said, I'm not dealing with that. And I'm going to stop it right here, because he's more of, black and white. This is, I'm a patriot. I'm a patriot for the military. And this is what I believe. Something's going on with their family. And I feel like they're almost being sabotaged by the government. I don't know if it's just the military, but definitely somebody is doing something to them. And it's a really sad story to hear, because this guy has been in the military his whole life. He, like he said, was a colonel. He was getting ready to be a general, and he had to quit.
I got to be honest. The fact that he's not a general makes me like him all the more.
Yeah. Mm-hmm. And he was getting ready to be, and then he's like, I can't do this, because, it's almost like you go to a job and, are you going to do the job and stay there even though there's dishonest stuff going on, and because you're getting a raise, or do you stop it?
Yeah, and he butted up against the system. But what I will tell you, in our about 3-hour interview with the wife, she, and keeping in mind, she knows nothing about the situation that maybe we're going to connect this to. But there were some key words she mentioned in this entire saga, and it got me like blown away. So we're just going to see. May have nothing to do with it, but at the very least, it's very strange.
So you've done the interview and everything.
Yeah, we've done we've basically interviewed her. She's not going to be on record, but I think potentially he may come on record. It just depends. We're going to have to see.
Yeah, he told her to reach out to us.
Yeah,
he's like, it's time. We have to expose what's going on, the corruption in the government and the military. We have to expose it.
Yeah.
So what better way than to come with us?
Yeah, I know. What better way to get us killed?
Oh my God, you've got the NASA guy coming on that's going to say Earth's flat, haven't you?
Flat Earth. Yeah.
Can you imagine that?
Yeah, no.
A whistleblower from NASA. It's flat, guys.
I can actually.
Yeah, it's flat Earth, and but there was the keyword they mentioned. I wish I could say it, but I don't think I can say it.
Does it start with an M? Is that what you're talking about?
Does it start with a D?
And end with a K.
The D. No. Anyways, we'll keep you guys updated on that.
Yeah, man, that sounds awesome. That's really cool. That's really cool.
Just for him to be with X and NASA, he knows stuff.
Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. Which is weird. They would even hire him though, that's a whole weird thing as well. So I don't know. Maybe it's like keep your enemies close, or keep your friends close, keep your enemies closer. I don't know.
Gives you a reason to keep people plugged in.
Yeah. Potentially.
Yeah, it depends. What can you tell us what's going on in his life? Out of curiosity.
Yeah, we could tell you that.
Curiosity.
Yeah, they basically, like I said, when they butted up against stuff, there was a lot of we won't go into too many details, but essentially they got they have a kid, and this kid started and there's also a housing situation and all this. So their housing situation, obviously officers, colonels, all that stuff, they have specialized housing in certain areas, and there's certain almost like neighborhoods for officers and whatever the case is. And then kind of how, I'll put it this way, I didn't actually know this, but there is housing units in the military that are controlled by other countries that our military actually lives in.
Did you guys know that?
Yes.
So like for one of them is, damn.
Well,
okay, I'm going to say
one was Australia.
One was Australia. And the other, where he and his and a few other, and I'm just going to say this because it won't really give anything away, but the other one was controlled by Malaysia.
Interesting.
No joke.
And not only that, but they've even tried to play sabotage his kid, I guess.
Sabotage his kid to get to him.
He ended up, he's 13 years old, and they put him in juvenile hall.
Well, let's be careful how much detail we
5.5 weeks.
Yeah, let's be careful.
And took him away from his mother. I mean, it's a lot of bullshit going on here.
Yeah. And so essentially they started kind of sabotaging the family. And this guy was, I'll put it this way. I mean, the stuff this guy was over outside of being a pilot, is some of the, I guess I can say, infrastructure buildings, that he had full access to, and is actually the colonel over. There was just a lot of key things that kind of started making sense. Although when we talked to her, she didn't know anything about any of the stuff we've covered in the past, any of that stuff.
Because you're not supposed to tell your wife anything, right?
Yeah, and there's a lot of stuff she does not know, obviously, about what he did, what he was involved in, any of that stuff. But like I said, it may not even be connected to what we're potentially even thinking, but who knows? At the very least, there's something weird going on with that. So.
But I'm just glad that they reached out to us. And if we can expose anything, I'm more than willing. I'm on the train to expose whatever we can. So that's where I am.
So are they still in on base housing, or did they finally get out of there?
Well, yeah, they're out of there. And so they're actually kind of separate right now where they live. But I think they're going to be reunited soon. So it's just a very complex, weird situation. And it kind of blew my mind, some of the stuff that was going on. But then also, I think that she was so naive to certain things about, if you get someone to explain stuff all the way through, and especially in the kind of realm that we live in, as far as the stuff we talk about, obviously our brain thinks of things differently. Like we have a different thought process. We have we can pick up on things that maybe obviously she wouldn't. And you know, especially certain keywords or some of the things that was happening. And that's kind of what was like, wow, you know.
Is he a military academy graduate?
That I don't know. I don't know.
She told us where, I can't remember what she said about that. I don't remember now.
Yeah, I don't know.
Sorry.
No worries. Anyway, yeah, that sounds interesting.
Yeah, it's very interesting. I hope everything works out, that we can help them expose the corruption that's going on in the government.
Because it's kind of made their life hell for about a year and a half.
And expose the military. And, you know, she was talking a lot about how the military's changed so much and has gone so woke. And I think that's one of the things that he was butting up to as well, is, you know, how they're trying to build the military.
They're trying to take the Patriots out.
Yeah, take the Patriots.
Oh, they've done that. Yeah, they've done that.
Bring the immigrants in and train them to go get stuff. That's what they want to do.
Well, that even, like, they'll bring in, so
allegedly.
Yeah, they're working on, I know that they're working on trading cadres to train in, like, UN officials.
Yeah.
Different patrolling, and they're circling those people through. And that's concerning, kind of. But there's, it's, you have these political sycophants who are in positions in the military that should never have been there. You should have kept the hard men who knew it was up.
Right.
And they've purged that. I have a very good friend who got purged out. I don't want to give too many of his details, but he is the kind of guy you keep in.
Yeah.
You know, he's a former fighter pilot. He was, you know, special forces. He was like, he's the guy with an officer. Like, he's the man. And they had a very serious conversation, and he went on his way.
And the last thing I'll say, and by the way, Sherry, we got to remember they're on YouTube, so we got to be very careful what we say.
Oh, sorry. Sorry, guys.
No, it's not you. I'm saying
I didn't get you banned the last time, though.
No, I'm reminded myself. Yeah, it is also interesting because they also used a little thing that happened the past 3 years to get a lot of the people out that maybe potentially was following a certain a certain thought process on something that happened the past 3 years. I'll leave it at that. And so they weeded out a lot of people during the past couple of years. And it was pretty easy to figure out who was who and who wasn't, you know.
The strong people.
Who was the rule followers? Who were the ones that were going to follow and take orders no matter what?
I think you're 100% on with that. And I also think with the way everything's going, everyone who's listening, with all the oddities in the world and everything in the news that you see that's off, this is off topic of aliens, of course. And we kind of, depending on how you think about it. But remember who those people were, right? Remember who all the people who posted all those things online and would have sold you down the river because of the greater good. Never forget those people.
Never forget.
Or their home addresses.
Did you guys see the Vegas aliens come back?
Ooh.
Wait, they came back?
No, well, let's not go too far, Chad. Actually, no, let's go there. Yes, they came back in that backyard. You heard it tonight for the first time. No, the recreation thing. What do you guys make of that?
Yeah. Man, the Vegas alien thing's weird, right? I mean, because that's another thing. It's like, you know, when did they because they brushed that story under the rug pretty fast.
It was not, it was talked about for like 3 days and then nobody said anything about it. And I know what was happening. These people were like going crazy, like calling 911 and everything else. They were not lying about this stuff. This really happened.
Well, they reported this like 2 days after Grush originally came out on News Nation. So it was really quick. It was right after that initial release for him, which was interesting to me.
Yeah, this is the original video right here. Let's see.
There's something there that's distorting on the right.
This entity, this thing in the video is there in the physical reality in which the Kenmore family is also there. Like, this is so critical because you can clearly see through the slots in the fence that there is a leg motion moving from the right to the left side of the screen. And clearly it is behind there. So this isn't just like a head floating in space. This is a head of that is somehow that does not have full opacity, that the opacity of the head of the shadow is only at about 33% opacity versus a normal shadow, which would be at 100% opacity, or an object in the screen, which is at 100%. And this isn't anything that you did.
I disagree. I think it's
just
34%.
what you were able to determine that this shadow being, or this
Always
being
33.
in the shadows, possibly creating its own shadow or smoky filter or cloaking technique. Is
Just
not
pause that
only
for a second, Dolly.
Yeah.
cloaking itself from
Right. No. It's just so you've got a conversation here about this crazy thing that's happened. So regardless of what it actually is we are like we're through the looking glass as far as like conversation goes, especially something that's on a news network. Isn't it weird how they've gone to everything? They go through every single thing this thing could possibly be in the realm of conspiracy. Like this, it could be cloaked, it could have something in the way of it, all reinforcing the idea that this is a creature, this is like this is an alien. All right, what you've got there is, from what if you take all of the alien stuff out of it, is a shadow figure.
Yeah.
How come no one that talks about this brings up the idea of it being a shadow person? It always has to come back to there being this like alien thing.
Because that leads to demons. Demons leads to crisis of faith and conversations nobody wants to have in a public way. Then why don't they want to have them?
By the way, so this video also goes into, do they not see something in the backyard on this video?
No, it's they can't see it. The camera's picking it up, but whatever it's doing, it's not being fully picked up by the camera.
But I thought
there's something obscuring the spectrum.
But I thought even before they called 911, they saw in the backyard like two creatures.
Yes,
correct.
yeah, you're right. But that's not on video, right? That's not on video nowhere.
Not on video.
No,
Okay.
there is there's a 2K version, is either 2K or 4K, which they pulled straight off the phone, which came out, I want to say last week. And a couple of those say that they can see something in like it's like maybe next to the guy with the red hat right at the front, something in the distance, but I'm not sure. But there was more photographs of what looked like something in amongst the because their gardens, like their back garden, they must have some sort of construction company, because there's a load of like heavy construction machinery there.
Yeah.
And it looked like there was something resembling what you would think about a grey in amongst that heavy duty machinery.
Sorry, and wasn't there like a round, like something round in their grass after it happened? Because they were
marking
saying,
on the ground. Yeah.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, they were saying there was this. Not only did they see these things, but they saw an actual like spaceship thing.
Yeah.
See, there was a circle on the ground. The trouble was the circle. Sorry, Lee. The circle was there on Google Earth like a year before.
Yeah.
So I don't know. It's tough to go off of that, but yeah.
In the way
circle to me,
up on it. Yeah.
Yeah, that circle to me looked like a forklift that turned around.
Well, they had a camera back there that supposedly just didn't work, every time, huh?
Well, that's all. Well, but I mean, it's one thing. But if you think about it, like, what are we seeing right now? We're seeing something obscured that moves into the camera view and out of the camera view. That's an interesting way to do it. So it's not hostile, at least not physically towards them for whatever reason. Maybe it's because they're numbers. Maybe it operates like a normal predator would. Ooh, predator, right? Camo.
Also, something they can't see.
It's something they can't see, but can see them and is reacting appropriately. It is backing away to circle. And the way it came up along the side of the fence after they were going to come up from behind, right? Maybe if this guy wasn't recording, they would have seen something else. It makes me wonder, there's something that it can see you're operating, whatever the magnetic spectrum is, that can tell you're recording.
Yeah.
I think it was Lee that was saying, saying shadow figure, right?
Yeah, that's what it looks like to me.
Yeah. What if what we're seeing, aliens, UFOs, UAPs, shadow figures, spirits, ghosts, what if they are all the same thing?
Yeah, I think they're all connected.
How,
we've said that for years. Yeah.
Yeah. Through like interdimensional air, anyway. I mean, the more that I learn about all this stuff going on, the more I feel like it's connected.
Yeah.
in ways that, as far as like spirits and aliens and
keep in mind also, like a lot of the DoD releases and some of the stuff we found out from DoD or Pentagon or any of the stuff is there's kind of a consensus that maybe this is tied to the spiritual realm. There is, there's something that Tucker Carlson has talked about many times. Any of his interviews, Tucker Carlson is saying that, some of the things he found out, and listen, over anybody out there, Jeremy Corbell, David Grush, any of those people, for whatever reason, the stuff that Tucker Carlson says, and he said on a few podcasts, he first said it on the Nelk Boys podcast, which was pretty interesting because Nelk Boys obviously is not like a big conspiracy podcast or any of this stuff, but Tucker went on there, said some crazy stuff, talking about some of the deep, dark stuff that he knows about this UFO, UAP phenomenon. There was things that he didn't even want to tell his wife, and it just kind of, he didn't even want to know any more about, because it just kind of, it messed with your, it messes with your mind. If you grow up believing in something your entire life, and maybe it messes with people's minds because maybe what you were always taught, that there is a spiritual realm, when you actually get that into your mind as a reality, I think maybe that could mess with your mind as much as anything else. But even if you go back to the Bible talks often about demonic creatures on earth, right? Even if you a Bible believer or not, but even in the historical context of that, it talks about demonic figures on earth, and they will be abound on the earth. Now, I'm not saying all aliens or UFOs or any of that stuff are demonic,
Sure.
But it is very interesting how many of these documents talk about spiritual beings.
Yes, yeah, I mean, let's be honest. If an angel came down in front of you and said, "Don't be afraid," I'm probably going to change my underwear. Let's be real.
And the thing is, you should, because if you look at the biblical accounts of what an angel looks like, they're terrifying.
Yeah,
they are terrifying to behold.
Are you talking about Nephilim type?
No. The biblically accurate angels.
Okay.
The AI's cast a version. If someone could Google that, those are always.
That's an interesting image, huh?
Yeah, those things will haunt you. When you start going through the descriptions through like Ezekiel and Daniel and whatever, you're like, woo. Again, we know if you get into the Gnostic work, not Gnostic work, but the Apocrypha, like Enoch and Yasher, the Watchers that fell, right? 200 of them got stuck here. Chad and Sherry, you guys saying something? I saw you're mute.
Oh. Yeah. Anyways, no, I was just saying. No, you're right. I was literally just.
Well, can you expand more on like what's so scary about these angels? I don't know, honestly.
Oh, if would somebody Google that to post it up?
I think I'll
okay, so I'll go through it. So the biblical angels, when you see them, they're wheels within wheels, covered in eyes. They're the burning ones, right? That's how different. Like seraphim, literally means the burning one.
Jeez Louise.
You want that thing showing up to have a conversation with you?
Yeah, bro. No, I'm good.
Yeah.
And it's supposed to be an angel?
There's other ones too. So there's multiple descriptions, very few. There you go. What I think I see is AI is creating biblically accurate angels used from the descriptions in the Bible.
Wow.
What I see is a multi-dimensional, higher functioning being that's trying to compress itself into our reality. And we're seeing something that is quite literally, it will break your mind, right? Like, of course you're going to bow down and look away. You can't deal with that.
Excuse me, anxiety.
Yeah. So it also makes me wonder, like those 200 watchers that, were here during those times and fell and got stripped away and wrapped in the earth. And we always hear, like, or at least now anyway, we're hearing that they're digging up archaeological finds of ships, right? Did you guys ever watch the TV show back in the day? And this is the best reference I have for it is Babylon 5.
Mm-hmm.
No.
The Vorlon. You familiar with the Vorlon?
I don't remember all of that. I used to watch the show.
Okay. The Vorlons were like the two of the most advanced species, and their ships in them were this weird biotechnology. They're millions of years advanced, unbelievably, almost, godlike. And they kept ships and things around to kind of blend in with the newer races who were learning not to scare anyone. And what you learned is like they were connected to their ships. Like they're really one thing that lets itself into two. One allows it to travel, but it's still part of itself, right? Like there's multiple. It had a suit, it had itself, it had the ship, but they were all one, 3 into 1, right? I think it's an interesting reference. They also look like what we would understand angels when they came out. But anyway, let's say God got mad at these things for messing around with our genetic code, messing around, making chimeras, teaching us things we weren't supposed to know, muddying up the petri dish. So what if he and the rest of the angels or whatever turned their ships off? It's like, you can't come home. Now you got to live there. You're stuck. Until the end, you're stuck. You don't get to come back home. You messed up. And these are the things we dig up.
And guess who's the final boss? Joe Biden.
Well, he's the most popular president in the U.S. history. He's the most popular leader in the world right now.
Yeah, absolutely.
We should all be thankful for his leadership and guidance.
I definitely am.
Yeah.
Well, I would ask you this, Dave. I mean, it's really interesting. But if they can't turn them on, do you feel that we could recover these crafts, dig them up, and then we couldn't either? So that we've never really back engineered it?
No. I think seeing incredibly advanced technology has given us crazy ideas.
Okay.
Right. And we're able to go and there's lots of questions. Where did the resistor come from? Where did this, the general idea of microcircuitry, and people are like, well, you can see the advancement. Sure. Okay. But maybe that advancement coupled with being able to see something so advanced clicks in your head. Maybe it's helping advancement. I don't know. Maybe they're helping advancement.
There's also another thing, Dave. What's that? Advanced technology. If you just think of what we have, like as far as like let's say just our best consumer technology. Mm-hmm. Yeah. How easy to use is an iPad. Like an iPad is so much more easy to use than like an old IBM computer or something like that, but infinitely more powerful and infinitely more useful. Yes. But because if we haven't just refined the hardware, we refined the software to go over it. Mm-hmm. So you can give an iPad to a child, and within 2 minutes, that child understands how to use it.
Correct.
There's no reason why, if we were to find hyper advanced technology, it wouldn't be incredibly easy to operate.
Maybe that's going along with our assumption, because there's some technology, as the more advanced it gets, the more difficult and dangerous it is to operate. Right? Like alleged space shuttles now are infinitely more advanced and capable, but they are still unbelievably difficult to traverse.
And not to mention that the technology that we have found supposedly is some of the technology, the materials are not of Earth at all.
Yeah.
Cannot recreate something that's not on Earth.
And by the way, I also go with the consensus of just being able to utilize advanced tech, or how we got to a position to where we could reverse engineer things, right? Mm-hmm. If you go into the interdimensional space on this, right, and I've dug a lot into this, and if I had to make a consensus within the UFO alien stuff, I believe they are interdimensional, either beings, maybe they are past us or future us, maybe they are something else that is not even has anything to do with this. Maybe they are a spiritual entity, and I think sometimes, physical. I think that interdimensional has figured out, if you believe in interdimensional, I think they figured out a way to manifest themselves in a physical realm. And if they can do that, then how does that operate? So for example, if you have an interdimensional creature, they have a craft, they travel, or whatever represents themselves in this physical 3D world that we live in, how would that craft be perceived by us? Because they manifested themselves in the physical realm. How would that even comprehend to how we would even approach that, understand that? Especially if, is there even elements that would be used in an interdimensional space from a physical manifestation of a spirit? And we're talking about spacecraft, orbs, whatever the case may be. But you got to think even beyond that. It's like, would we even have any clue what the hell this thing was? And I think there are some kind of baseline back stock reports of, some of these things we had no idea at all what they even were, how to operate them, what the deal was with these things. And I think that's why some of the people kind of behind the scenes seem to think maybe this is a spiritual thing. And why do they think that? And where did they get that from? And does it have anything to do with the crafts that they are potentially encountering?
Well, I'll tell you what I find really interesting, just slightly going back to the Vegas thing, but bringing it in line with this, is the fact that that boy, he saw that figure in the garden, and literally complicit. You absolute ledge. Cheers, mate. Appreciate that. afterwards, when the police turned up, that's when you saw the meteorite in the sky. Now, I'm wondering if we get this kind of like situation. It seems such a coincidence for some young lad to report a craft in his garden with a figure getting out of there, and then the police turn up, and lo and behold, there is a blue meteorite shooting through the sky. I'm wondering.
I believe that happened before the report.
Did it?
I think the meteorite was seen.
Yeah, I thought it happened first. Yeah,
it did. Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah.
Right here is the picture.
Well, before or after, it's still like it's a big.
Oh no, I think it falls more in line with what you're saying. The fact that happened before. I think it's weird that you have that happen, and then there's this call that comes in. I mean, even just the way that the police took it so seriously, because there was that body cam footage, wasn't there, of when they stopped the people saying, "Look, this is going to sound crazy, but like we've had reports of like things walking around."
Can we play that video? I want to see that video, the body cam video.
Oh, when they were talking to the police?
Yeah, and because it was an incident that had nothing to do with that call, right? And then I think they got called during the body cam video. Is that correct?
I think so. Yeah.
Here we go. Get this up for you.
Yeah, I think the cop talks to a group in the car. Like somebody next to him in a car is like, "Hey, we just got a call. Have you guys seen anything about aliens or anything like that walking around?" I think that's how it went down. Yeah.
We'll be talking about. Thanks for joining us here at 6 o'clock. I'm Denise Valdez.
I'm Brian Loftus. A family says something crashed into their back.
You'll see the officers also saw something in the sky that night, but the big question is, what was it, and is it all connected?
Leave her alone.
It's almost midnight on May 1st when a Las Vegas Metro Police officer's body cam catches this, something flashing low in the sky.
911 emergency.
Minutes later,
There's like an 8-foot person beside it, and another one's inside, and it has big eyes and looking at us, and it's still there.
someone calls 911 reporting two large figures in their backyard.
No, I'm still nervous right now.
The 8 News Now investigators obtaining another officer's video as he's sent to the Northwest Valley home.
I have butterflies, bro. Everyone saw a shooting star. Then these people say there's aliens in their backyard.
By now, it's more
genuine reaction.
Caller and his family.
What'd you see?
It was like a big creature.
A big creature?
Yeah, like around 10 feet tall.
I'm not going to BS you guys. One of my partners said they saw something fall out of the sky too, so that's why I'm kind of curious. Did you see anything land in your backyard? Or
they see like a big? That's what they say. They see like a big something with light.
What I saw right now, I do believe in it.
Police walk into the backyard to investigate, but Metro blacked out that part of the video because it's considered private property. What's clear? They're taking this call seriously.
Hey, this might sound like a really dumb question, but did you guys see anything fall out of the sky?
Asking others what they saw.
I would normally discount it as nothing. However, seeing as one of my partners said they saw it too, only reason I'm actually investigating it further.
That investigation turning up no concrete answers as of Wednesday. Whatever.
Wonder what that car ride conversation was,
that yard,
on the ride home with
long
those guys?
gone within minutes.
Oh, hey.
It's recorded, I'm sure.
By the way, guys, okay, so that part where they said that they blacked out the backyard for private property, which I've
And
never.
then they show it.
Yeah, I mean, but so did they ever actually show the body cam video of the backyard?
Yes.
Yeah.
When it came out,
Okay,
they
okay.
had the whole
That's what I
backyard,
thought.
and I saw like the ground where you guys are saying that it was there on Google Earth before, but I saw all of that.
Yeah, I mean, that's what's so crazy. Like, how big of a coincidence is this that someone says they seen an alien? I mean, unless these two dudes saw the thing, the blue light in the sky, and then just wanted to make up a story. But what's more likely?
But this guy was like 14 years old, and he was the only one calling 911 and speaking because nobody else in his household spoke English.
I think a really good question is, though, is he started off by saying alien, and now 8 months later, they kind of did a follow-up recently, and now he's saying demon. Why do you think that's happening?
Maybe there's things that have continued to happen afterwards. No one's doing follow-up. This case is disappearing as fast as Miami aliens, the Nashville bombing, or the Vegas shooting. Nobody wants to talk about it. Everybody wants to go away. That's how you know there's something there.
Yeah, we did a whole series on the Vegas shooting, which I'm not getting off topic, but you know, our first 3 episodes, great numbers. 4th episode with a actual survivor of the shooting, and some of the things he said on that episode was pretty crazy. But that episode numbers were not very good. I still wonder if that episode was suppressed for some reason. And this guy was like firsthand, so it's kind of weird.
Got to stay in the narrative, man. You start talking truth. Nobody wants that.
No.
It's the Miami thing is still. I think that's over all of the things that have happened. That's the weirdest thing for me. You know, like I know we can't really draw many conclusions from that video because you know maybe it was just 2 police like walking like together across steps, but the problem is that still doesn't explain the fact that the fucking Miami fucking police department was sent to a fucking shopping mall.
Yeah, you know what? I think we should start drawing conclusions. My conclusion I'm going to draw, because that's the problem, right? We're like, us not drawing conclusions allows it to be
No, okay, it was
obscure.
definitely a Nephilim. Is that better?
It was a Nephilim with the U.S. government's Nephilim control squad that went and they used the police to get everyone out and riot control to keep people from seeing the exorcism performed by the I don't know. I lost my own train of thought.
Are you saying they sent in the FBI?
What if
No, definitely not. No, they sent in someone competent, not the FBI.
What if it was a hologram?
Well, I mean, we
Blue
can
beam?
go down the blue beam thing, yeah.
Yeah.
Could it be?
Well, you know, not long after that, Boeing started having engines blowing out over Miami as well. What was that, like a month or 2 later? I think Nephilim was attaching themselves to the engine. Maybe these whistleblowers are Nephilim in Boeing. We don't know.
I think it's the Smithsonian Reclamation Squad that went out there and brought them back. You know, they monitor any transdimensional traffic, and they were like, can't have this happen.
All right, can we do a poll right now with everyone that can put in chat? Like, what do they think the Las Vegas alien real or debunked?
On it, Chad.
Because I'm curious. Because look, the Las Vegas alien thing is weird. I mean, especially that camera view, and you got a freaking blue thing coming out of the sky. And also, if you look at that video, it could be the camera. Don't get me wrong.
It looked like it moved, didn't it?
Well, it looks like it's not going straight. It's kind of curving or something weird. That could be camera. I don't know.
I noticed that, and I hadn't noticed it before. But yeah, it looked like it turned slightly. Well,
interesting times we live in. They are fascinating.
Sorry, we're doing the Vegas one, yeah? The poll for the Vegas one.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Not the Miami one. Right. Vegas one.
Miami? Hopefully not.
Oh, okay. Vegas. Is it real or not?
Yeah, Vegas. Yeah.
What are people saying?
Real.
Definitely. It's definitely real.
Yeah, I
Smithsonian Nephilim Capture Squad didn't get that one. It got away.
Yeah.
They're here to protect us.
what did you guys think of the like the demon face syndrome thing that sort of hit the news a few weeks ago? Because that hit me like sideways. Like, what the fuck is this about?
Yeah, it was weird. There's been nothing but demonic references everywhere. The Vatican coming out and talking about what's really going on. Hey, we're gonna call the shots on everything. It's getting out of hand, and yeah, it's interesting, dude. I don't know. Tucker's going on Rogan and talking about it. It's everywhere, man. NHI is now the new thing in ufology. People really aren't saying aliens anymore. That's already shifting. Some people are saying NHHI, non-human higher intelligence. We're moving at a bar again.
It's getting like the LGBTQ plus AI.
Yeah, there you go. I'm on the AI train, as you know, for a lot of this stuff. I think there's a lot of AI influence, I think. But yeah, it's interesting to see everything that the whole paradigm is shifting right now. Aliens is losing the race on a lot of this stuff right now, in my opinion.
By the way, so and I just want to clarify, you guys are talking about this rare disorder that's causing people to see faces as demonic, right?
Yeah. Allegedly rare. Allegedly rare.
Yeah, and by the way, it says their ears, nose, and mouths were stretched back, and they were deep grooves in their forehead, cheeks, and chins. And it says, my first thought was, I woke up in a demon world, said Shara 59 of Clarksville, Tennessee. You can't imagine how scary it was. And listen, Not going to say anything, but Tennessee is sorry, Dave. They do have a meth problem there.
You know what's near Clarksville military base.
Yeah, well, there you go. Hey, listen, and you know what the thing I was thinking about the other day? I was like, dude, do you realize like MK Ultra was, MK Ultra was there was people that volunteered for that. There were also people that did not volunteer for that. They were experimenting on the population, which a lot of people say that gave us shrooms to this day. And look at that, meteor right there. That looks very similar to what
now
was
this is
in
Miami,
Vegas.
right?
No,
Very similar, yeah.
Oh, this is in Vegas or Miami?
No, this is
Portugal, I think.
Portugal,
Yep.
yeah.
Oh, okay, sorry.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, if you could quite easily throw that into the beginning of a remake of War of the Worlds. That is the first 15 minutes of an alien invasion movie.
Yes. You know who one of the subjects was of the government's illicit psychological experiments was, right? Probably their most famous one. Theodore Kaczynski.
Oh, yeah, the Unabomber. Yeah.
Old Ted. Ted and Ted's Manifestos. Yep, old TK.
And by the way, I do want to say this. There was a Bible verse that says, and there will be signs in the sun. What have we experienced lately? Kind of weird. This is Luke 21:25, but there will be signs in the sun, in the moon, and in the stars, and on the earth, distress of nations, with perplexity, the sea and the waves roaring, men's hearts failing them for fear and expectation of those things which are coming to earth. And there will be signs from the heavens, it says. I don't know. It's just whatever. Maybe that's nothing.
Or maybe it's something.
Those times.
Where we had Sean, what's his surname, Ollie? Hanlon,
yeah.
On the show last night. And he's tied an awful lot of biblical stuff into what's going on now. He believes we are in the end times, essentially. He thinks we will see the Antichrist in our lifetime, and he ties a lot of this stuff together. It was a really interesting podcast. It'd be a good one for you guys to look him up, actually, to get him on your show. He's a good guy.
And by the way, people are giving me shit because I said something about meth in Tennessee. We live in South Carolina, they ask, so we're probably worse.
No, but ours is higher quality. Ours is higher quality.
You're probably right.
That's the difference.
You guys get better Drano probably up there than we do.
No, it's not the drainer, man. We got the Department of Energy. Ours glows in the dark. Right? These hillbillies know where to go and dig in the ground and get the good shit.
That's the good shit.
Well, I mean, I'll say this. I mean, at least like it gives you good perspective on how bad Sodom and Gomorrah must have been if we're still here. Jeez,
it
must have been wild there, dude.
I tell you what, the biblical thing that comes to me is, as it was in the days of Noah, and I think of CRISPR, the virus that they use to edit people's DNA in real time. You don't need to be born. You don't need to be a kid. They can inject you with something and begin to alter your DNA. Truly, on a fundamental level, it'll change who you are, what you can do. It can give you cancer, take away cancer. If you look into what CRISPR can and cannot do, it is genuinely Pandora's box. And they're just playing with it. They're
Guys,
just
I got to be honest though with this demon face thing, and we're talking about demons, right? You're talking about that earlier. I do believe in a lot of ways that we're fighting a battle with good versus evil right now. And I legitimately, I talk about this, we talk about this on the podcast often. It's like we try to explain what the hell is actually going on right now because a lot of people like to chalk it up as a simulation. We're in some kind of weird, very violent simulation in this world. And the way I always look at it is, and I'm one of those people that I've struggled with faith and spirituality and all of that for a long time. I went back and forth, right? So I'm, on the podcast, I'm never one that's like one of those Bible thumpers is like, if you don't do this, you're going to hell, or whatever. But at the same time, it's like, we don't know what the hell is going to happen when we die. But what I can say is that at the very least, what I am starting to at least understand better is that those times when I got about 18, 19, and 20 years old, when I thought I knew everything, because when you're 18, 19, 20, you think you know everything. Right. And that's when I started being like, Bible ain't real. My mom used to tell me this shit. That's crazy. God ain't probably God's not real. That's ridiculous. We don't know anything about that. Never seen this dude. Why am I going to believe this? And it's
Never
like,
seen this dude.
Never seen this dude, like ever. I've never witnessed Jesus or God. And so now it's like when we're starting to understand, and I don't know if either I'm going crazy or I'm just opening my mind more, or things are really just happening in real time. I don't know what it is. And so I always try to kind of get this perception of reality, because I think that right now it's like we know what reality is, but we also have a little bit higher understanding of potentially outside of reality. And I don't know if that's because of information we are getting. I don't know if that's outside things that are happening in our world that, you know, and I would like to say that never happened, but if you go back thousands of years ago, we had reports and people and pictographs and all this stuff of people reporting very similar things we're seeing today. And then even if you read Bible stuff where you hear some of these stories in the Bible, and you're like, there's no way that's real, because that sounds so out there and so crazy. I don't know that that's so crazy anymore, because now what we're living in, now what we're seeing, and now what we're starting to understand, the stuff that we used to think was crazy is not as crazy anymore, I guess is my thought.
And talking about crazy, I guess this is a crazy syndrome that people have.
Yeah, this is the demonic syndrome.
Take a look at her head. See if you can turn back to the side again. See the one on the right? Can we freeze it right there? See how it gets narrow and high and elongates? Does that make you think of any of the skulls they found in other places?
Yeah, like the Nazca mummies, or not Nazca mummies,
but you said
right?
This is something that's wrong with people, that they see things that are not really like
they
that.
see these faces like this. Yeah, I mean, first of all, she looks like an elf, because her ears look like, I don't know what's up with that.
I just want Jaime to pop his head in and go, "Mummy."
Yeah. Yeah. No, I mean, it's they look more like a weird little vampire thing going on.
I'll be honest with you.
Faces.
I think whoever sees this is racist.
Well,
that's given. But
how racist are you? How racist are you? I'm that racist. I make Asians more Asian.
Has anybody picked up on this though? Because it's one thing saying, okay, this is some sort of virus or disease or whatever that will make you see people kind of like.
Well, it doesn't make you see everyone that way. It makes you see some people that way.
Yeah,
that's the most important thing. Not everyone looks this way.
I have a damn good point here. It stretches out their face. You see, your vision, essentially, you see people weird. Why would it make wrinkles appear? You know, I can understand. I'm trying to put in like
same fucking reason they give a bat ears, Ollie.
No, but do you know
why is it consistent?
I can imagine it like if it is a disease that just makes you see stretched out. So you essentially get to see ears that just kind of like they stretch off a little bit, their eyes kind of stretch out a bit, you know, the mouth comes out. Why the wrinkles?
Well, the interesting thing is, I'm almost convinced that the artist's impression that they've done there is they've done kind of a TV friendly one. Because am I right in thinking that the actual written report about this suggested that they would see people with scars and cuts?
It takes their noses and changes their teeth.
Yeah, and so it's not necessarily wrinkles. It's like it would be more gruesome than that. That's
just tame.
Yeah.
Yes.
And Ollie, by the way, I just sent, or not Ollie, well, whoever's over Alien, I just sent you the people that are actually seeing this in your X DM. If you want to pull that up on screen, it's the people that are actually seeing these people. Just so you know what the people that are actually seeing these people look like. Okay.
Well, I don't like to admit, but I'm going to say this real quick. I did try like a half a hit of acid when I was 17 years old.
A half a hit?
Yeah, I did a half a. It's, it was this little square thing.
Allegedly.
And I took half of it, and I swear to God, I stayed in the bathroom for 12 hours and stared at my face. And every time I would stare at my nose became my face. Or if I stared at an eye, my eye became my face. I wonder, could it be some kind of hallucination thing? But I mean, it was like I was satisfied watching my face for 12 hours.
I've got to imagine this is kind of newer, though.
This is very new. Yeah.
Yeah, I mean, the whole demon face syndrome doesn't sound very medical to me. I mean, there's got to be some other saying for it, right? Or some other descriptive.
Well, it's one of those things when you
it's,
take
it's an
hallucinogens, you don't look in the mirror.
insane word.
I'm just saying, my face stretched out like we're seeing. Could they be on some kind of acid?
Randomly on acid, maybe.
Without knowing.
Or could it be lizard people?
I hate when that happens.
Definitely lizard people. See, that's the thing, is all of these things can exist in this bubble. Maybe we're just seeing the truth of the world, like all our mythos and everything going on from everywhere else.
Put your Twitter condom on.
That's what I'm getting when I'm trying to look at that link.
Oh shit.
The government.
Yeah, they don't. Here, I'll just send you the picture. That's what I'll do.
The government.
It's so dumb, but it's funny at the same time. But guys, do you think? I mean, do you think people are really seeing this stuff? I mean, that's the big question. Is like what? Where the hell did this even come from? Right? I mean, that's the weird question to ask, I guess.
I go for it for three different ways. One, it's absolutely real. Two, they're trying to get people who are susceptible to suggestion to start seeing it. Or three, they're preparing us for when the veil slips and we see what these things really are and that they're all around us.
Yeah. All right, Ollie, I sent you the picture.
So if you're saying these people are seeing it and we're not, and they're real, what is it?
What do schizophrenics see and hear?
There are
that's
the
pretty real.
See the demon faces right there.
What do you think though, Dave? Do you think it's only still certain people can see it, or do you think everyone will see it and they're hoping that they don't want to admit that they're the crazy person that sees demon faces and they'll just kind of keep quiet?
I'll tell you this. I know people who would probably qualify as psychic-esque and they don't talk to anyone about it.
Yeah.
Because they don't want anyone to see them as crazy. Right? They're
Makes
normal
sense,
people
yeah.
that live professional lives and have security clearances. They're like, I'm not saying that shit out loud. Right? I'm not going to do that.
Yeah.
And they do remote
viewing. Yeah.
Maybe. It's just one of those things. Like, I think it comes down to this. The more of these stories I hear, and I look at everything obviously with a biblical lens, it's just what I do. I think, many are called, few are chosen. I think some people, as much as we hate to hear it, are genuinely special. For whatever reason, they are special. And they do their utmost to just live a normal life and not get noticed because they didn't ask for anything, and whatever is tweaked in their DNA or in their brain that allows that. Like, look at Noah, right? Noah, he didn't want to go do anything that he was told to go do. He didn't get a fucking choice, right? It's like, no, you're going to go have this conversation. No, I don't want to go have that conversation. I'm pretty happy here. Gets eaten, vomited up on the beach, bring back to life. Now fucking do it.
But have you guys ever thought about like the evil people in the world? Like maybe that they are possessed by some type of demonic thing? Because have you ever heard of these stories where people are normal for a very long time and then all of a sudden they just break, they kill their entire family, they do whatever the hell, I mean, just do crazy outlandish shit. And then you think about like, are these people, could they have had some type of demon entity that possessed them in some way? I mean, I know that sounds crazy. It sounds like an excuse for those people. It's not.
The Vatican says yes. The Vatican says absolutely. 100%.
Well, think of intrusive thoughts. We've all had intrusive thoughts. We've all been in that situation where we've been walking down like a pavement or something like that, and someone's walked past you, and there's cars in the road, and you thought, what would happen if I just pushed him into the road? It's like everyone's had something just where you've gone, or
I know it now.
Yeah, or even it's like sometimes where you'll just be having a nice day doing normal stuff, and instantly like a loved one will pop into your head, and the idea of something horrible happening to them. Like, where do they come from? Because it's a weird thing to happen.
I have moments where people are slow on a bike in front of me, and I think, if this was GTA 5, buddy, moving on.
I have a really weird reoccurring one. Was every time I log into this stream and see Ollie, I think about bludgeoning somebody to death. It's weird.
Well, that's normal. That's healthy. My intrusive thoughts don't speak to me anymore. They're not okay with what's normally going on in my head. I don't worry too much about them.
Well, when Chad first brought this up, I was thinking Illuminati. I was thinking those type people that are into this devil worship. They go to parties where they have cakes that have blood and guts coming out of the cakes.
Yeah. Well, that's the thing with possession, right?
Yeah, and they've sold their soul to the devil.
So there's influence, and then there's perfect possession. They're two different things. Perfect possession is a willingness and an invitation. It doesn't happen by accident. Like the movies have us believe anyone can be. And if you go to any of the exorcists or anyone who's into that, they're like, that's not a thing. It's like if you invite something into your life, it may affect you and influence you after it's worn you down and caused chaos in your life. Right?
Yeah.
Like that's what it's done. But that's repairable. True, full on like Linda Blair situations, that's perfect possession, and you're not going to see that in children. You're going to see that in adults. And it makes you wonder too, like the tuning to people, like who's the guy we tried to have on and then decided not to come on?
Oh,
what's his name?
The
counselor. He used to work in prisons, and he dealt with a lot of schizophrenics.
I'm going to hit him up again. I really want to get him on the show.
He would ask the schizophrenics to talk to the voices and the things that they would see, and they didn't like that. The other things are like, don't talk to me, don't talk to him, don't go in there. You need to hurt him. You need to do something. And then he would see things. Schizophrenia is one of those things. If you hang around with a schizophrenic long enough, you get sympathetic schizophrenia. So it makes you wonder, oh, well, it's affecting my mind. Is it, or is it fucking attaching to you because you're hanging around long enough?
There's two points he brings up in his work, which I find fascinating.
Yeah.
First of all, the suicide rate for schizophrenics is apparently, according to him, if I'm wrong on this, then it's from a bad source, but according to him, the rate is the same for schizophrenics as it is for the doctors that treat them, which I find that really weird. The second one is, if it is just auditory hallucinations, where the voices come from, how come all of them are negative? You never get a positive, you never get a schizophrenic that's just constantly told to go running, or it's come on, it's Tuesday, go lift some weights. If it was just hallucinations, like you have hallucinations when you take drugs, you have good trips and you have bad trips. There would be a positive schizophrenia to go with the negative side, negative one. I find that really interesting.
Yeah, I think their brain receiver got turned up too high.
These reports, by the way, that are coming out about marijuana or gummies in particular and schizophrenia. Now, I'm not talking shit about weed or any of that stuff, but I'm just saying there is something to be said about. I'll just put it this way: there's been some times, every once in a while, where you do the wrong gummy. And it does not end good at all for like 8 hours. And I often think it's like, how, because when I've done that and I'm like, how in the hell did my mind get here? And like, where am I even at right now? Type situation. And it's just, and then all the racing thoughts. And listen, some of that could be, especially considering what we talk about all the time on the podcast and we talk about a lot of negative stuff. Let's just be real. And so does some of that bring up those things in fluidity, I guess you can call it. And we've done episodes, we've deep dived in things to where we'll go to sleep. I'll have these very, very vivid dreams about things that seem so very real. And I wake up, and then, how some dreams you don't remember at all. Like, even though you want to remember them, you're like, I got to remember this. And you don't. But then there's things that like you cannot forget. And it's like, there's only a few of those, though. There's only a few of those type of dreams that you can never forget. I have a few of those, but it's just weird how the brain works. And I think if we could figure out a way, everything works in frequency. And I think that's one thing we're starting to learn and understand about life, is that we're a physical manifestation of a energy, which is our soul or our consciousness. And so that is a energy, that is a frequency, no matter how you look at it. Even the Schumann resonance, which is like at 7.83 hertz or whatever it is. And then you have, our mind waves, our heart waves, what actually connects our heart and fires those those signals, those are all around the same frequency as the Schumann resonance, which they consider, which is they consider the Earth's heartbeat. And so it's like, how would, you know, if you believe something happens when you die, I think, like, for example, our bodies are a capsule, much like maybe if you look at the UFO thing, if they can physically manifest themselves in some type of capsule or a device or a spacecraft, whatever you want to call it, whatever potentially may be inside of that craft is very similar to our souls, our consciousness inside of our bodies here on Earth. And I think if we can start looking at it that way and looking at that but life is about energy and frequency rather than physical. And we're literally just carriers of energy. And we're carriers of our own consciousness. But you still got to ask yourself, have you guys ever thought in bed at night, like, why am I me? Why do I think like I do? Why do I see things or feel things the way I do?
Else sees that.
She doesn't see it. You guys don't see it or feel the same thing I do. We're completely different beings, completely different people. We're our own energy, even though we're along the same lines and you know, all that stuff. But these are like my biggest questions at night. These are and not when I'm on the gummies. This is like not the gummy talk.
But I have to say that my best friend's mother was schizophrenic and her brother was schizophrenic. So it's definitely hereditary.
Yeah.
And talking about the mind and the soul, that has to do with your mind, obviously. But Chad, you're talking about your dreams. I just want to bring up one point. What happens to me when I dream, especially when I'm fighting devils?
Oh God. No, Sherry's bit me like 3 times in the middle of the night. Literally grabbed my arm and almost bit a chunk out of my arm like 3 times. No joke.
So people pay extra for that.
When I'm fighting, I kick, I do, and I don't even know I'm doing it.
But also, Sherry's also one in this household that battles spirituality more than anybody. And I will say that, and not to get too deep into this because I know we gotta, you know, whatever, but you know, Sherry comes from a Jewish household. I come from a Christian household. And especially the past year, right, when the Palestine-Israel thing's been happening, this huge topic of discussion. It's been weird at times in discussion because, you know,
we don't agree with everything.
Yeah, coming from obviously a very Jewish family, and then coming from a perspective of just, I come from a Christian household, but I just look at everything like as it is, trying to figure things out. It's just weird kind of how things unravel, which we won't go too deep in that. Definitely don't want to do that. But anyways.
Well, we was going to touch on Trump, so anything goes on this show.
No, we're good. No, we
definitely have to Trump. We have to Trump it out.
Well, what do you guys think about, this is for Chad and Cheryl, what do you guys think about just like the electrical system that runs through the body? I mean, for me, that's what I feel opens us up to to technology in general. I mean, I for the last few months, the more and more that I've thought about AI and kind of where AI is going and how open that we are to that, is that maybe the spirituality is really not like a woo thing. Maybe it's just technology. You know, being able to telepathy is not like some woo energy kind of thing. It's just they're able to Wi-Fi in a way, connect to our brain and just talk to us. That's all that it really is. And I wonder, like, you know, if you had civilizations that were 1 billion years advanced that way, it just would seem like that way. But it's really not. You know, or if we had an AI system that went sentient and was able to replicate and get out there like that, you know, what would that really look like, and how would that interact with us, and how would that interact with time, gravity at that point? So it's interesting, man. What do you guys think about that?
Well, your question is very interesting, because do you remember when Elon and Joe Rogan talked about offloading essentially even though I don't necessarily notice what he was saying, but
your thoughts,
offloading your thoughts and consciousness onto almost like a hard drive, and then putting that into an AI or a computer system. So I think maybe that's what you're asking. Because I think the question of that is like, yeah, energy, signals, all that stuff. We know our bodies are connected through signals and energy. And we also know that, for example, Wi-Fi, you know, we can't see Wi-Fi. We know that it is coming into our computer right now. It is a signal. And the why we can see you guys right now on screen is not through a hard wire. It's not something that's literally connecting through a physical thing. It is connecting through air. It is connecting through some type of hertz, some type of frequency. And so if we can offload whatever that information is from our modems to our computer, why could we not technically offload our energy, our signal from our brain and consciousness into another device? And I think when Elon and Joe Rogan talks about that, a lot of people are just blown away and confused by that, or like that doesn't even make sense, like whatsoever. But it is very possible. But then you got to think about the soul thing, right? It is like, is the soul part of that energy, or is the soul is the soul separate? And then the actual signals and energy that our brain processes that energy, which is the actual signal. Maybe we can't harness a soul or a consciousness, but we can harness and understand and have signals to be able to comprehend what that is.
But we also have to remember we only use 10% of our brains. And if somebody used 10.2% of their brain, maybe they have the abilities to do the telepathy stuff or whatever. They're opening their brains to things that we cannot do.
Yeah.
You know,
See that?
I feel like I have a lot of ability to do that. I feel like my brain is open more than most people's.
That's one of those things, though, that nobody can prove. Like, they've done different things. There are people with half a brain, people with mostly fluid on their brain, and there's like, when they look at it, they're like, "Oh my God, how is this person functioning?" Because it really shows you they don't understand what it does. And just my humble opinion, I think our brain's nothing much more than a transceiver that has like an encryption code for your soul.
This is what I was going to point out, like where you talk about the soul and our sort of connection. I don't think it's a given to even think that we contain our soul. I think there's just as much chance that I shared a thing on X just the other day of the flash of light that happens to connection of a conception. I look at that and think that's like turning your laptop on, and all of a sudden you like your laptop is then connected to the grid. You know, it's connected to something. I mean, if we find at some point that at the moment of conception there is, or at some point in the gestation period, there is a connection between like us as a meat sack and like the great universal consciousness, and all we are is a Wi-Fi receiver that decodes what we see and sends it back. You know, I don't see any reason why that couldn't be it. In fact, I think it feels more logical that if there is a soul, that we don't contain it, we don't store it. It's you know, it's something that's around us. It's something that penetrates us, but isn't necessarily like nestled away just underneath your right lug. I saw you smile there, Dave. Just because I said,
I'm such a child. You said penetrate. And I was like, oh, don't say it. Don't say it. Let it go.
We know Dave was at school.
Dave just can't resist.
Oh, the
slightest.
You know,
whiff.
that's the thing. It's not that I'm juvenile. It's that I enjoy life. I love my life. I love every day. I love the sunshine. I love the rain.
Damn you for that.
Yeah,
I can't believe you.
It's awesome.
Today, my life sucked.
The good and the bad, man. The good, and lately I've had a lot of bad going on, but
listen, you can't.
But that's part of it, right? Like that's part of this experience, and you got to embrace it, enjoy it. Like I firmly believe we are higher dimensional beings experiencing something unique in this life, in this world, and we should enjoy it. We're being birthed in with incredible experiences. You get stabbed in the back, you get betrayed, someone you loved gets sick, and it's horrible, but it's amazing because there are these little miracles that happen along the way. And if you're too caught up in bullshit, you can't see the magic that it is.
True.
You can't appreciate it.
Oh my God, you're gonna make me cry.
No, but also, can you have, you know, and that's the topic, can you have good without evil? Right? I mean, it seems like since the beginning of time there was always evil.
Well,
so
because God gave us a choice.
Yeah, but I think it's just more so like you got to counterbalance. And I think
we've definitely been given the tools to tell the difference, though. I feel like, you know, when you watch something on that's fun, like a puppy dog gets saved or whatever, that feels great, right? And then you go on Twitter and you watch somebody get their head smashed in the concrete, doesn't feel good, right? So I mean, it's definitely there.
Who's the person and what they do?
But you know what I'm saying? I mean,
I need background.
It's I think it's completely naturally inherent that you can tell that difference. You feel that for sure. And you can deaden either side, which is kind of weird too, because you can wear those down a little bit and get less sensitive or more. It's strange too.
Yeah, and how much evil are you going towards as the more you see that, to Terrestrial's point, the more you see it, the more you soften yourself up to it. How much of that side are you going towards, and how much does that influence you in the future?
And even like just what doing games like GTA, I got the little pig mask on. I'm gonna go steal somebody's car, and the same thing.
Beat the shit out of like 84 people.
I can't wait for 6. I can't wait.
Oh my god, I can't either. I really can't.
They just brought. I mean, I dabble now and again. Like I'll play a game or two, but they just brought a game out I saw the other day, and there was a kind of a bit of a hoo-ha over it, because one of the missions in the game, and it's like, do you remember the first ever Grand Theft Auto from the 90s that was like the bird's eye view?
Yeah,
it's essentially like that, but one of the missions in the game is to kill as many mothers with a pram babies as possible.
Wow.
Damn.
You mean people? Like people babies?
Yeah. People babies. One of the mission is to kill.
I take it that's not on Steam, huh?
It is on Steam. Yeah.
Really?
It's a game on Steam, and it's called. I think it's called Maniac.
Wow.
And I thought this looks really cool. This looks like GTA. I'm like, I'm gonna get this, but then I
hate babies. This is great.
I used to love the original.
Made for him. They had an audience. They have an audience.
I loved the original GTA from the bird's eye view, but as soon as I saw that, I thought, I can't buy that. I can't.
And yet he bought it.
He's been killing babies ever since.
I'll stick to gardening. How about that?
Dude, you need some gardening to balance that out after that, right?
Yeah.
No, I don't. I'm not a video game guy. It's never been my thing. But I do a lot of gardening. I got a big garden. It's getting bigger. Yeah, awesome. I'm all about. I walk barefoot, dude. I am such a hippie. I am out there barefoot in my garden, like watering with a stupid hat on.
Connect.
That's me too.
Got to connect.
Yeah, dude. My life has been filled up on violence and terrible things for a long time. Yep. I'm fucking good. I'm good. I just want to be.
And I'll tell people this all the time. And this is something that Sherry and I long for, is like the crazy shit we talk about all the time. Mm-hmm. Like I want to get out in the woods. I want to get out in the yard and have no shoes on. Connect. I mean, it sounds weird, but I'm just saying you got to connect. You got to get back to the very basics. And that's why, Sherry kind of hates camping, but I also tell her, I'm like, I like camping because it just takes us back, even though yes, we have an actual tent and shit that someone built and is made out of probably cancer causing ingredients.
It's a guarantee that it is, yeah,
definitely.
Cancer causing tent.
Yeah, whatever we're drinking water out of, it can make us a credit card in our gut, in a week. But regardless, it's still at least getting away, like escaping this reality, because you got to do it. Get back to nature. Get back to things that are just some stuff you just don't got to think about. That's why sometimes Sherry and I are like, we'll do a podcast where we'll have a crazy week, and we're like, hey, let's watch something that doesn't make us think about anything.
And
that's difficult. That's difficult now, isn't it?
Yeah, and then I turn on murder.
Yeah, sure.
But getting back to nature, I want to ask you guys a serious question, because I don't even know the answer to this, but I've been thinking about this. I know I told you, in previous conversations, how I've had orbs around me or whatever when we went to the woods, and I was, I put my feet into the dirt, and I was trying to get, with God, I guess, and balance myself, because I was so sick and I was tired of being sick. I'm like, Chad, I just want to go by the river. I want to put my feet on the ground and ground myself, right? And that night we saw a bunch of, Chad saw a bunch of orbs
on video.
Me,
we actually have it on
and
video.
And he videoed it. And scary enough, there were red orbs. My question though, what do you think the difference is between the orbs, these little tiny orbs that were around me, and the orbs we see in the sky? The ones that go from triangle to like shh, and they all squirt out everywhere.
But by the way, we've never seen orbs around you before except for that time. So that was kind of interesting and weird, but yeah.
No, but we have seen orbs in our house.
Yeah.
So it's funny you say that. I don't know what the meaning of the colors are. I think it's the intent that you feel in you. Like you have to go with your instincts, right? Like if your brain is a transceiver, there's some base safety codes, right? Like there's some firewalls built like warning, Will Robinson, danger. You got to run off those. But I know someone who I trust implicitly. They have seen multiple little balls of light all around them and their spouse in their home multiple times, seen by them and other people. And the other people are like, "Hey, would you like to come on the show and talk about it?" People are like, "I don't want to talk about that." Kawhi's like, "I don't know. That's not okay. Like, I'm not doing that." But I think I don't ever want to talk about this again. It's like, holy shit.
James says, was Ashton Forbes, Forbes behind you? That's funny. Sorry.
Was Ashton 4 orbs behind you?
But I guess I go back to my question. What is the difference? You know, so many people see these orbs in the sky, and then we can see them around us. What is the difference between them?
That's the question, right? If you get to answer that, you could probably really break down so much more. I had a sighting in 2016 of a couple orbs in the sky, and whether they were craft or what have you, but they would, they were very, very bright yellow. They would go really, really bright and then kind of dim down and then go back up and down. I don't know. No idea.
What did you feel when you saw them?
I was very intrigued. I was very, very intrigued at what they were. I didn't feel bad. I didn't feel negative at all. It was mostly just intrigue, which kind of makes sense to the feeling that I had to look up from my phone anyway to begin with.
A sense of awe. Was it intrigue or
awe?
Yeah.
I guess awe makes more sense. Yeah. But it was also intrigue because I really wanted to know what it was. And I was maybe foolish enough to think that if I stared at it longer, I would understand it. That didn't work.
That's the answer. There you go.
Yeah.
Sometimes.
That's the difference right there.
I mean, there's always the chance that you're seeing them because they want you to see them. And if that's the case, then it's Luke's like a sarcastic joke, but that would be the reason for it. They could be exactly the same thing, but if they want you to see them and they happen to be in the sky, they're going to have to be bigger than the ones that are around you. Maybe that is just the intent for you so you can witness them.
Maybe I don't know. Maybe they just control everything around us. So the ones that we see outside in the open, they have to be bigger because of how open it is and what their job is to what they're doing. The ones that you see in the house, they need to be small. To maneuver,
that whistleblower that just came out now,
whatever they're up to.
The Colonel?
No, the other guy, the guy that hit Reddit. Was it him that was saying that these things, he referred to them as like the Watchers or something like that, or the Guardian?
Yeah, I think it was.
Not.
Yeah.
Yeah, I don't think they're nuts and bolts craft though. I think whatever they are, essentially they're alive.
Well, that's it. I still keep going back to this. Apart from government recognition, so we'll go with whatever declassified like papers you might get, and intelligence guys that come out and say it. I can see no evidence of nuts and bolts craft, and it's the last thing. Like obviously I've been working with Ollie doing podcasts now for a while, and I wasn't doing like UFO stuff when I first made friends with Ollie, and we started doing this. I was doing my own podcast, and the last thing I expected coming on a UFO and alien podcast this many years in was to not believe in UFOs and aliens anymore. I thought that somebody would have something that I hadn't seen before. Like a UFO, one of the guys that had been doing this subject for fucking decades.
Yeah.
Somebody would have like, oh, this was a photograph of a UFO that was seen over Switzerland in like 1965. I thought somebody would have something I'd never seen, and I still to this day, no one has shown me anything that I hadn't already seen. When I didn't consider myself even into the subject, I was just like, I like conspiracy theories. UFOs are a conspiracy theory, so that's the only sort of thing I'd given it.
Lee, what about the Philip Mantle? Philip Mantle was involved in that photo. What was it? The photo above the lake. It looks like people argue whether or not it's a reflection from the 90s.
Oh, from Scotland.
Oh, yeah. I mean,
I can't remember the name of it, but it wasn't. I mean, I know you did a kind of a breakdown on that. I mean, what do you think about that though?
I don't know what it is. I mean, even looking at that, it's like I mean, what I will say about that is I don't believe it's the reflection, because the weather we have where I live and the weather like on the coast of Scotland very similar, like lots of thick sea mist. You know, like there's during that sort of time of year.
The
Like
Calvine photo. That's what it is. Calvine.
Yeah,
right?
yeah.
I knew I'd get it. It just took me a second.
But like I can drive up on like the mountain road, which is just like up the road from me, and when the fog comes in, you can't see in front of your car. Like headlights are just fucking useless. So I can 100% believe that there is a thick bank of fog behind that, and that's just it's behind the whatever that photograph is. So I don't believe the reflection in the lake. I don't know. That's probably. I think that's the best one. That's what I will say. I think that's the best photograph.
It's pretty good.
Yeah,
it's pretty good.
Chad and Sherry, are you aware of that one? The Calvine UFO.
Yeah, I've seen that one for sure. I was actually just looking up one. It happened over California, and I was trying to remember what it was. It was.
Well, while you're looking at that, has your viewpoint changed now since you have been with him? And you're in this podcast now, in this realm. Has your viewpoints changed since you've opened up to other things, I guess?
I believe in God now, and I think there's a spiritual element to all this. Like I would have come into it. I came in thinking it was like space travelers from Zeta Reticula coming here and experimenting on us to find more stuff out, and that I believed. I think the best way to say it is I believed in the phenomena in some extent. I've always believed there's something to it. I think the what we see is the idea of a gray. I think that's a real creature, but I don't think it's a space traveling alien in a future spaceship anymore.
Do you think it's from Earth? Like the actual grays and
no, I genuinely go more with the fact that these are like biblical demons now, and I think we can call it multidimensional if we want. It's essentially if we live in this realm, which we are, and then there is a separate realm where these creatures come from. Then you can stick anything on it. You can call it Disneyland if you want, but for all intents and purposes, if there is a race of creatures there that are malevolent and have no other drive but for the suffering of human beings, it doesn't matter what sticker you put on the door. That's fucking a demonic hellscape, isn't it?
Crazy thing with that, when I set to doing the Alien Addict logo years ago, I came up with like little cute alien grays, and I'm like that. I said, for some reason, something just said to me, this thing needs to look like a cross between an alien and a demon, and that's the logo that you see now.
Hey, by the way, guys, Ollie, can you look up the 1960 on YouTube? Can you look up 1966 Leland Leland?
Bear me a second. So 1966 Leland
Leland, and then Hansen video. Leland.
You have to sing it.
And then Hansen. It's basically the Catalina Island UFO, but it was the Leland Hansen video, 1966.
Yeah. Well, Lee, you could have gone and seen lights in the sky with Ollie and I if you could have got out of bed. Sleepyhead.
Are you talking about the movie?
No. When they came out here last year, almost a year now, I took Ollie out to go see lights in the sky, and Lee needed a little nappy poo.
Did. Was that after the ghost hunt?
Yep.
Yeah, I was drained. Like I was fully drained there. That was a weird feeling all day. If that wasn't,
that's why we took you there.
Yeah, if that wasn't the last day of our trip away, then I probably would have had a much easier day.
Dave is the Bledsoe of Alien Addict. He's bringing him in.
No, I'm definitely not Bledsoe.
More the Jim Jones actually, but
it's probably, I mean, in all seriousness, he's a little more right about that one.
Yeah, this is 1966 Catalina Island, which, by the way, there's for those that don't know about Catalina Island, that whole pyramid triangle area out there is very, it's definitely a place that there are multiple sightings of UFOs, and also that's also very close to the place in Malibu, right outside of Malibu, where they have this potential underground base or thing. I don't know if you guys have ever check that out, but you saw this thing slow down. It slows down almost a hover.
Yeah.
Mountain. And this is 1966. Keep in mind.
It makes.
I've
sense
never seen this.
It makes sense why all the modern idols are drawn to go live out there. Then, right?
Yeah, and the weird thing is that pyramid. You know, you got to keep in mind, Commander David Fravor, their Tic Tac experience and some of their stuff was just south of this area, off the coast of San Diego. You also have, like I said, the underground water base that was caught on Google Maps, which looks like some type of man-made structure. And yeah, this craft is just one of the things, and there have been many things that have been witnessed from Catalina Island to Malibu to some of these other places, and there are other videos to that as well. Besides that, but yeah, that area seems to be a hot spot for whatever reason. Now there are military bases obviously out there as well, but there's military bases everywhere. And there's also been fishermen and people that have been in that area, that triangle area between Catalina Island, Los Angeles, Malibu, the whole area, that they are in that in between that section to where they're seeing these bright blue lights underneath the ocean that comes at them 1 o'clock in the morning when they're out there fishing. There's been a lot of weird things go on out there. And then there just so happens to be some type of underwater base.
Like a base. And it looks like a real base.
Yeah.
Yeah. Did you see that documentary they did about UFOs? They had that Land Rover they converted with all the cameras and stuff to make like the show, but they were filming lights in the sky over the Catalina Island area, over that triangle bay. And the light showed up and was moving, but it wasn't on all the cameras. It was only on a couple of them, which suggested like these things are able to avoid certain technology, like even from being filmed. And these other more advanced cameras were able to catch it. That opens a whole thing into optical physics. And then Travis Taylor was they brought him in to be involved. Which is he's tied pretty close to Lou Elizondo. In their little venture down there in Alabama.
I mean, that's kind of what the whole thing with the Nimitz is talking about, where they upgraded the radar, and that's why they were seeing them. Same idea,
yeah. Weird. It makes you wonder if the government can upgrade based on what they know that, you know.
Definitely.
I'm sure they've got incredible stuff. I'm sure it's there.
Did you see the Manta, the underwater autonomous drone?
Oh, yeah.
It's 100-something feet wide, 100-something feet long. It can recharge itself with it can recharge various functions of itself with the differential and sea temperature water, stay on the bottom of the ocean for months at a time, operate totally by itself. And they won't release what its capabilities truly are. The bottom of the ocean.
Yeah, it's crazy.
Whoa.
I remember Secure Team 10 put a video out like years ago with something that looked like that underwater, and everybody's like, this is a fake video. It didn't look fake. You could see like some lights on it. And I'm just wondering now, looking back at that.
Testing.
Was that what we were seeing?
That kind of thing is, to me, what shows how the government can truly keep secrets. Because think of all the engineering, manufacture, production, the logistics involved, the material handling, the material science involved to produce this, and it didn't get out anywhere. It's been made secret. It's been kept secret.
Yeah, there's no one's been able to find the paper trail to find all of the fucking crazy stuff that it takes to manufacture one of these things. It's Batman Begins, isn't it?
Yes.
When when it starts to talk about how he's going to make his stuff, and they have to source the materials from different companies, so nobody knows that they're coming back there, so they can assemble them into a bat car.
Yep, they can definitely.
It's also got to be that they got to be getting some of these engineers pretty early on, so that these guys aren't famous and have all this information and people know them. And what I mean, you want to get people early on that were smart. You could bring them in and have them kind of stay silent, right?
We've had those engineers on this show. I can tell you how
really?
they're recruited. Oh, 100%. I can
Let's
tell you
hear
how
it.
they're recruited. Yeah. No, they're recruited out of master's programs. People who are going to go for a PhD, people who are and brilliant before they start publishing, before they start writing. They're picked
Right.
out of the schools, the good engineering schools. They're like, this guy's brilliant. Let's offer him, hey, man, how about you do this co-op for the summer and I'll pay you $100,000. And they're like, oh, that's great. That's going to be awesome for me. And then when they're there and they sign all the NDAs and the disclosures, hey, we'll pay you $400,000 a year just to keep working here. Forget about going to school. You're not going to learn anything else. Come here and we're going to show you everything that we have. They immediately sign up for it. We've had 2 of those guys on the show.
It makes sense. Yeah, it makes sense.
Get them back.
Well, it's just interesting to me because it really doesn't make sense because I think about like Bob Lazar and how secretive they were with what was it?
S4.
S4. They're so secretive. They couldn't even see each other's departments. So how could they just recruit these people and they pretty much ruined Bob Lazar's life.
Oh, I can tell you. They recruit him just like they did a friend of mine. He's a great guy. He's been on the show anonymously. He was recruited right out of college. He was brilliant. He didn't finish all of his education in the path that he was going, but he is brilliant. He works for various contracting agencies that work for bigger things. Like he works, I may or may not have sent the guys a picture of buildings that I may or may not have been into because of him, that may or may not be on NASA, may or may not be on Lockheed Martin Secure Compound, how things work. Like I've learned so much from him and others like him, how things work. Like it says Lockheed on the outside of the building. Inside of the building is 7 other companies that are based out of Panama and Colombia and Argentina that are routed through the UK, and they do accounting in Singapore, but they're recruited, brought in by Lockheed. Yeah. They're working on Lockheed's projects. That these are the things that they're doing.
And I guess that's the difference. It's a private company versus the government.
Well, the S4 is private. That's not government. In fact, Area 51 is a DOE location with DOE security. That's why you can't FOIA them, because it's nuclear security. Nuclear security is above everything else. That is Q level. The only other thing that touches it would be crypto with the NSA. So at an NSA site or a Department of Energy site, you're not going to get any answers. If you show up, you will be thrown to the ground, face in the dirt, handcuffed and dragged if you're lucky.
They're on their own island. Yeah.
They're on their own island, and they have complete autonomy. They have, the president couldn't show up at any of the nuclear sites and be like, I want to see, you're not cleared. You don't have clearance.
Yeah, and by the way, that's how the government gets away with a lot of their stuff. I mean, they do,
Security
military government contracts, and they don't have to follow the laws, the Constitution, any of that stuff in the United States.
Yeah.
So
I mean, that was why the argument with Kirkpatrick and Arrow was so big about whether or not they had Title 50, whether or not they could go in and deal with the DOE at all. Some people still think no. Some people think he did. But I mean, in my opinion, even if he could get inside and really see the stuff, could he really tell you? Probably not.
No.
So I don't think it matters really.
So here's an insight into DOE, right? Here's an insight. Say you're able to get access to a Department of Energy lab, which all the labs in all the big government labs, those are all Department of Energy labs. Right off the get-go.
He's working at one of them now. That's the funniest part.
Yeah. So to get in, you background checked out the wazoo. Here's the thing. Each building is different security clearance and different levels, depending on the project that's worked there. And they sub those buildings out to private entities. And those private entities have clearance and allowances of their own that they operate autonomously on the Department of Energy property. So it's like, fine, you got a Department of Energy. Well, I want to see in this. Whoa, you can't. Why? Because that's a Lockheed Martin building.
You are denied.
You are denied access. Well, you can't deny me. We absolutely can. We're a private corporation. Go get a warrant. Now, how are you going to get a warrant for a nuclear classified area to see a building on there that you can't even produce a paper trail on who has it? And to show it in court would be a felony. Yeah. They're beyond. The government that runs things is so beyond. It's unbelievable. It's unbelievable. It's criminal.
Do you think at one time it was occupied by government, and at that time we actually did have real spacecraft and aliens?
What do you mean?
Area 51.
No.
You don't think there ever was anything there?
At Area 51? I think
when the government was in control.
No, the government's always been in control of Area 51. But it's the Department of Energy, and then the Air Force rents that out from the Department of Energy. And then the various aeronautic like Boeing or whoever, they then rent hangar space from them who are renting space from the Department of Energy, but they're able to stay under the Department of Energy umbrella of protection because it's nuclear.
Yeah.
It's a bunch of really fancy paperwork that allows them to tell people to shut up and go away. Did you know the Department of Energy has their own armed forces?
Oh yeah. Oh, trust me.
Or is that guy's chief
They
at the
have
border, whatever?
Did you know they have a license to kill?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well,
I knew that.
you'll see a lot of those guys. There's some nuclear powered plants that I don't know that it's Department of Energy, but even the private contractors that are over some of the nuclear power plants go in there and try to screw around at our nuclear power plants. They got AR-15s and they will shoot you right in the face if you get
that. So that's all Department of Energy covered. Yeah.
So why is Area
Area 51?
Yeah, why is it like? Why do people always think that's where the aliens are? In
Bob Lazar.
Well, Bob
story.
Lazar said
Yeah.
S4, but the rest of it, I think, is that's what they want you to think.
Yeah, he said
want you
S4,
to
but
go
like
with
everyone kind of just refers to it as Area 51, though,
Area
right? It's kind of
51.
like this,
Right.
it's nomenclature, yeah.
Yeah,
but-
he said there's another facility that's hidden out on the side, and even then, when you listen to him, it's not a lab; it's a storage facility with really base rudimentary stuff.
Right.
That's always the thing. Is like they're keeping it at this military base. Why?
I think the other thing with the Area 51 was the fact that before Bob Lazar came out, you could they expanded the area, I think, didn't they? So they took this hill into it, which
I think 30 more miles, 30 more miles, I think they did.
And you could climb up that hill and you could take photographs of the military base. And at that time, people were going taking photographs of the base when it wasn't even it didn't exist. You know, the government wouldn't acknowledge the existence of that base, so that fostered conspiracy theory anyway before Bob Lazar came out, because it's if you've got someone going and taking, it's literally a secret military base because they won't tell you it's there. I'm sure there's funky stuff goes on there still. I'm sure.
Keep in mind, I think a lot of Area 51, the things that we used to remember as Area 51 and S4 and all these clandestine bases, I think probably predominantly most of those bases are all underground now.
Yeah.
100%.
Makes sense.
Definitely.
I think
100%.
if you want to know about alternate dimensions or alien tech, you need to go to the national labs and then the large funds that are associated with the national labs. You need to go to JPL. You need to go to the various fragments that is Skunk Works. You need to, you know what I mean? All these things that are peripheral located. FLIR, for instance, forward-looking infrared systems leading in optical physics. Nobody talks about them. You hear no one in ufology who we're onto this thing. Nobody's talking about them and the $1 billion optics they're putting on things that can view in how many spectrums of light. What patents are they working on? What's going on? Nothing.
Yeah, I don't know. I think a lot of the technology as far as like aircraft or any kind of anti-gravitic testing that goes on, I wouldn't even imagine that it'd be underground. If I was them, I would just get an island somewhere, fly around all you want. You got all the protection you need. Why would you do that domestically anymore? Why would you fly things out of Area 51 anymore? I don't see the point in doing that. You get the coverage.
Take it north into the Arctic.
Sure.
Yeah.
Or Antarctic.
Yeah.
Antarctic.
We're gonna go head into another show here, people, because we've been going 2 hours. Wow,
has it been?
It has, yeah. We didn't even touch on Trump.
Yeah.
Well, I like consent first.
Not guilty on 34
gentleman.
charges. Not guilty. That's what I have to say.
Well, before we go quickly, like, what do you guys think of that? Because I'm torn at the moment, because it's there's so many big elections going on in all over the world. I don't know if you guys are up at all on what's going on in the UK, but we have an election coming up, and it would appear that you've got the Rishi Sunak, the leader of the Conservatives, who's essentially at the lowest point of approval he's called a general election. So that's weird anyway, because it was his choice to call it.
Yeah.
And then also he doubled down on top of that by saying he wants to bring in national service, like for 18-year-olds. In my eyes, he's actively trying to throw the election. He does not want to be re-elected. Now, on your side, looking where you guys are, even with this going on, I can't help but feel that even amongst the craziness, like I don't see how Trump loses this coming election if it's a fair election.
No, I'll tell you what'll happen. At 3 a.m, a pipe will bust, and then they'll restart counting ballots 3 hours later, and they will have found exactly an even number of ballots that'll put them 10 ahead.
Right.
Biden. Because I mean, that's how we do voting in America. I don't know if you know that. We go in sections of hundreds of thousands of people all to the exact same location, and we all vote that way, especially when there's more votes than there are people registered in the district to vote.
Absolutely.
I want to give a consensus on this, and because I know you guys don't want to stay too long. We did an episode on this on our podcast last night, Investigators Podcast on Spotify. So we've been following this pretty closely, the Trump thing, and for those people that maybe obviously a lot of people are hearing the noise. They're like, this is corrupt, this is whatever. What's the truth? What's the reality? Here's my take on this, and you guys can whatever, whatever. But here's my take. So you have Judge Merchant, which is a funder of actually the Biden and Harris campaign. He has funded the Biden and Harris campaign. This is the judge in the Trump trial. You also had Trump's attorneys not be able to ever put forth evidence on their side, and yet you had the prosecution be able to put forth every bit of evidence on their side. That's number one. Also, Judge Merchant's daughter, heavily funded by the Democrat Party, but she also raised $9 million during this trial. I think it was 9 or 19. I can't remember. 19 million during this trial for the Democrat Party. Also, Alvin Bragg, the prosecutor of this case. You also have Letitia James, the attorney general in New York. Well, you have to remember what they ran on. Letitia James and Alvin Bragg both ran on the fact that they said, we will, if you elect us and you put us in office, we will make sure that we take down Donald Trump. We don't know what we'll take him down with, but we will find something. And they said that was their campaign message. You can find videos on that on YouTube or wherever you want to find them. You can find them saying, we will take Donald Trump down no matter what we have to do, no matter what we got to find, we will do it. That was their campaign slogan. So now who is the people that has been behind this New York case? Alvin Bragg and Letitia James. Now, also, you got to think about this. Alvin Bragg, guess where he got all of his funding from? George Soros. George Soros and Alvin Bragg. Alvin Bragg is a heavily George Soros funded prosecutor, much like the Los Angeles prosecutor. I can't remember his freaking name right now, but Gascon. George Gascon in Los Angeles, the one that has been letting everyone out. Literally, when Los Angeles turned from okay, even though there was a lot of people there, that still felt like Los Angeles was just a bunch of asshole celebrities. But when Los Angeles went from that to a complete shithole was when they put in George Gascon in Los Angeles. And he literally himself, as the main prosecutorial attorney for Los Angeles County, he then turned Los Angeles into a shithole himself. And he was the number one funded by George Soros. So as you start seeing these prosecutors that are heavily funded by the Soros campaign, the New World Order, the World Economic Forum guys, and then you start seeing, just for example, 2-3 weeks ago, Biden was bragging about the 200 federal judges that he put in place. And so there was an example where I think it was either I don't remember. It was some congressman that was trying to qualify this federal judge that came in, and one of the things this federal judge did, it was one of the last appointees that Biden put into place as a federal judge. Well, she put this serial rapist dude into a women's prison because he said he identified as a female. So they were obviously questioning him, or this judge, this female judge, Why would you put in a serial rapist into a women's jail
that identifies as a female
that now supposedly identifies as a female?
Oh my God.
And they're doing this. This is what is happening. But if you just look at all the connections, all the ties in this New York case alone, it was completely corrupt. The 34 felonies was based on 34 different checks.
Invoices. Yeah.
Yeah, 34 different checks. And by the way, the checks paying off someone.
Cohen.
No. Listen, paying off Stormy Daniels, which is who he had sex with more than likely. But paying off her is not legal. What they actually got him for supposedly was how he classified supposedly the payments of how he paid her, which was also Michael Cohen.
Actually, Michael Cohen is the one that paid her.
Michael Cohen was one that paid her. He was part of the campaign, and so they couldn't even prove that Trump actually even knew about the hush money payment, right? But that's not even the point. The hush money payment is not illegal. That's not the illegal part. It was the classification of how they classified the payments was supposedly the felony illegal parts. But the reality of it is they couldn't even prove that Trump even knew about the payments, because if you know,
it was going to him.
Yeah, if you're a major presidential candidate, you don't necessarily know what your campaign is doing to make sure that you are going to continue to look good. But we also have to remember that the Twitter files that came out and showed that the FBI was working hand in hand with Twitter to silence the Hunter Biden laptop story. This was the government that was working with Twitter to say that do not dare let this Hunter Biden laptop story come out because it will hurt Biden's chances.
Not to mention Hillary's lie about Russian collusion.
Oh, Russia collusion, spying on the Trump campaign. Yeah, so listen. So for anyone that wants to say, I don't know how I necessarily feel about whether Trump's guilty or innocent, look, you got to look at everything outside the box, and you got to understand that how much of corruption is going on in every single way, shape, or form that people should be actually going to prison for, and yet they're sending him that 34 felonies because they misclassified a payment, supposedly
34 payments
of hush money that they somehow tied to an election, which was a federal crime, but they prosecuted in the state court.
And how much do you want to bet that Hunter Biden will be found not guilty next week?
Oh, yeah. Well, but here's the thing about Hunter Biden briefly. Hunter Biden has a gun charge. Now, he does face some prison time. He will not get prison time. But the bigger important thing about the Hunter Biden situation is that they are using this gun charge to basically say, look, see, we're going after Hunter Biden. We're not, we're not prejudiced. We're going after Hunter too. But the reality is, if they actually went after Hunter for the real crazy shit that he was involved in, it would tie in Joe Biden and the administration and would take down an entire administration.
Talking about Burisma or whatever.
Burisma.
Yeah.
And it's very similar to Andrew Cuomo in New York when he basically sent all these people back into the retirement home that all had COVID and killed shit tons of people. Well, what did they do? He all of a sudden had sexual assault allegations, and then they brushed him under the rug, and he's never to be heard or seen from again. That's how the system works. They are very manipulative. They know exactly how to do things to keep themselves safe. And if we can say anything, look at Epstein case. They know how to do all this.
Oh, yeah.
Oh, yeah. And the other thing I think is probably the most important takeaway from everything is Joe Biden's daughter's diary was validated as real.
Yes.
Go
take a look at that. That's the man in charge.
It's crazy, man. The whole thing's nuts.
Yep. It's fun times though, right? It's interesting.
Be an
Better than any soap
yeah.
opera. Right? I mean, you just gotta sit back and be like, holy shit, we're going through with it. Okay.
Yeah.
Just what do you guys think will happen next?
It's not going to be good, probably. It's not going to be good.
Assassination attempt.
Yeah, maybe. I mean, because I think that they know this attempt of whatever they just did not work.
They screwed up.
Dude, so there's Muslims for Trump now that are trending.
I love
that's crazy.
Yeah, because he's talking about he's going to end the Israeli and Palestinian war. He's like, we're first thing. We're putting a stop to that. We're putting in. They're like, yeah, cool. We're on board with this. So he's one guy that just bring two incredible different sides of factions in America anyway together for the most part. Like, yeah, let's stop this.
But if you think about it, none of these wars would have been taking place right now if Trump was where he was supposed to be, which was he was supposed to be president in 2020.
Potentially, maybe. But remember, we're on YouTube. So
allegedly. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay.
Allegedly.
Watch out from getting a head wound between now and November. Like a friend.
I do got to say one thing. There's a lot of people that do not like politics talk. But we've said this recently on our podcast. I said if you like, or if you believe in conspiracy, or you believe in stuff like that,
it's politics.
Most of the stuff that revolves around conspiracy has to do with politics. So it's very hard not to talk about politics when you're talking conspiracy, and that includes aliens and UFOs and all this other stuff.
If there's a black swan event or there's something crazy that happens, they're going to have to do it through the intelligence agencies on third party outside to like affect. Because I was at an event with a bunch of government-esque people. Well, they're definitely government people. And they are obviously all just treading water. They're like, we're waiting till the election. Nobody's doing anything. Nobody's moving. No plans are going forward. We need this to change. We need this to change. Because if it doesn't change, we all have to go and do other things. And they're pretty important people. They're people who call big shots for huge organizations. I was a +1. That's the only reason I was there. Yeah. So like hearing that, it was interesting. It was interesting to see their reactions. Because at those things, politics are always taboo. Nobody talks about that. And at this one, everyone's like, a few more months. We just got to make it a few more months. A few more months. Let's see if we can get this thing to change, and then we can, do something. Because what the administration's pushing for right now is bad. It's all bad things.
Yeah.
Gotta make it past a few months after too, though. Come on.
And
that's easier to do. Like right now, so I'll hint at one thing. One thing they're wanting to do is remove a bunch of important people who are doing critical jobs that you have to have very special skill sets to do, and they want them replaced with people that are more camera friendly and diverse, preferably younger. Younger the better. Yeah, for people who take 15 years to learn how to do this job, and believe me, everyone needs them to do this job. They're like, no, you don't need any experience. No, you need an unbelievable amount of experience and education and a hard physics back and understanding. No, we'll let them run it, and you don't.
I think we should use that submarine. The submarine is a microcosm for everything else. The submarine that imploded on itself. Yeah. Because the idea behind that was he got a group of people together. It was like a diverse crew, which would show that like building submarines wasn't just for like rich old white men, and it went horribly wrong. Maybe we should go. Let's not submarine everything.
Well, maybe just not a PlayStation controller. Maybe start there.
Yeah, Xbox has been the best controller since 360. So makes sense.
Yeah. There you go.
But I think it's probably a good time to wrap this up now. At 2 hours 16 minutes, mammoth podcast.
Mammoth show, man. Very
440 watching.
Yeah.
By the way, what time is it for you guys right now over there?
It is 11:30 over here.
6:27 my time.
Okay.
Yeah, me too. 6:27, dude.
Start with Matt. What's coming up on your channel, buddy?
The news returns, dude. So we're gonna go over on Sundays, just kind of sum up the week, see what's going on there, and then I've got a interview with UFO Intros from Twitter. If you guys ever heard of him, he's got his own big thing. So he's gonna come on. I went on his Twitter show, and so I'm gonna have him come over. We're gonna talk about UFOs and give his opinion. He's a really interesting guy. So that'll be coming up in a couple weeks.
Awesome. And what have we got to look forward to on the Investigate Earth podcast?
Yeah, so we got a lot of good stuff coming up. Obviously, we're on Spotify, so Spotify is going to continue to kill it. We got a lot of good stuff. We're going to be talking about Alex Jones stuff, right? Alex Jones is big in the news right now. The government potentially trying to shut him down. We're going to be talking about AI. We also have a pretty big X live video coming up tomorrow, talking about the 2024 hurricane season, which you got to think about some weird stuff has been happening with weather the past year. And right now we're working on some documentary style stuff that we're also working on. So, just tune in and thank you guys for having us. We very much enjoyed this conversation.
Yes, absolutely.
Nice to meet you guys. Nice to meet you.
You too, Matt.
Mm-hmm.
If you guys will hang out for a second, as both of you have been on here before, we're going to go through Ollie's mini movie, which is amazing. And then we'll chat with you afterwards. And if you want, I will tell you where I was and who I talked to.
Nice.
It's worth sticking around. Trust me.
Sounds good.
The fireball captured on a police body cam on the night of April 30th was real. The American Meteor Society says witnesses reported seeing it all across the West, from northeastern Utah to Southern California. Another Las Vegas resident sent us a video of the same object recorded on her home camera.
I won't talk to you about what I know about it, but it's very interesting. But Roswell's a very interesting place with a lot of people that would like to know what's going on.
So you're saying you may declassify?
No.
You'll take it?
Well, I'll have to think about that one.
So now people are posting online saying that police weren't there to handle a group of rowdy teens, but rather 8 to 10 feet tall, shadowy aliens. Conspiracy theories are saying a big creature could be seen standing in front of the entrance.
Can you tell us, sir, Donald Trump refers to himself as a political prisoner and blames you directly. What's your response to that, sir? Do you think the conviction will have an impact on the campaign?
Trump, he's our man. If he can't do it, no one can.
Boom, boom.
Is that Trump on the